to note, AFRH, unlike most federal agencies, AFRH typically is not taxpayer funded. It typically does not get appropriated funds. This is a kind of a budget snapshot. The largest source of income is fines and forfeitures. That's, for example, if a military personnel is disciplined and gets fined, that money comes to the home. But that source, and it's the largest source of income, but it's been cut in half over about the last 20 years, and that's really beyond AFRH's control. Some other things to highlight here, again, they have a deferred maintenance backlog north of $135 million, and a lot of their older facilities need modernization. And so, again, looking at the operating statement, I mean, the home is operating really at a loss, and it has clear congressional direction to try to generate additional revenue to become more self-sufficient, to eliminate the need for any required kind of appropriations to fill the budget gap. Okay, so kind of pursuant to that, the home looked in the mid 2000s to lease a large portion of its campus, or a significant portion of its campus, to generate an income stream, and that's the development area is known as Zone A, which I'll show some pictures of in a minute. Just a little bit of history. The master plan was first approved by NCPC in 2008, and a couple of the items here that we'll talk a little later about is there was a condition of an approval for looking at the potential for a publicly accessible park on the west side with an income stream. The plan was amended in 2018, essentially to add the boiler plant once the home no longer needed it. And then once again, it was amended in 2022 with a request for the home to look at connectivity through the AFRH property from the west to the Zone A. You can just see some brief timelines here. We're, again, I think we're currently at the point where the master plan was approved in June 2022, and this just gives a quick snapshot of kind of the master plan is about 4.9 million square feet of development, with the vast majority being residential, but with the significant retail and hotel components. And the other thing is there would be a significant amount of public open space, as we've mentioned before. I'd like to, there's a couple folks on from the AFRH development team, AFRH partners, that are on tonight. Caroline Kenny, Jason Spencer, and Chris Vernick. I know that we're planning on reaching out further to talk about more about the Zone A development, and we're going to continue to reaching out to both our Ward 5 neighbors and the Ward 1 and Ward 4 neighbors going forward. But again, just wanted to put some names with the faces and remind folks of the organizational structure here. A little bit, just again, it's about 80 acres. I talked a little bit about the master plan, which has been updated. In terms of land use, there's an MOU, which we've talked about before, that would establish kind of a hybrid entitlement process. Basically, there would be zoning created based on the approved master plan, which OP would sponsor through a map and text amendment. And then that would allow permitting to happen through DCRA, kind of a normal, permitting and building process. The historic elements would go through the Historic Preservation Office and the HPRB, kind of typical with private projects. And there's also some other discussions going on with the district governments for a TIF or pilot for support because of the large infrastructure needs. We've been working with DDOT in terms of traffic mitigations, road design, and so forth. And also there have been discussions on the potential removal of the clover leaf, and the master plan had some material to potentially incorporate that. Again, just to some of the kind of a refresher, some of the economic benefits. It's about 20 acres of public open space, about 25% of the site. So that we know that was a big priority of this area, again, with publicly available open space. It'll be active and passive spaces. We're trying also to focus on kind of multimodal connectivity and improve linkage between wards 1, 4, and 5, particularly through the southeastern portion of the AFRH campus. As I mentioned, it can accommodate a future cloverleaf redevelopment and retains 100% of the historic assets in Zone A. It will bring a lot of new investments in infrastructure. And the home is also looking at potential for redevelopment of the golf course, or refurbishment of the golf course, not redevelopment, but refurbishment of the golf course for potentially greater public use. again, so just I'm going a little bit of context here to talk about the connectivity and the community access issues. The home, as it currently stands, the master plan is divided into two zones: the AFRH zone, which is kind of the area in white, and then Zone A, which is the development area, kind of in gray. The Zone A borders ANC 1A and 4C up to the northwest, and ANC 1A to the west, and the zone AFRH and Zone A and sits entirely within Ward 5, SMB 5 or 5A. There were in the initial master plan, the original draft, which is down below, there were two other zones, B and C, which were kind of over here on the western portion of the campus, that they were potentially included, but they were taken off the table at the last minute. And there have been some, as I mentioned, some discussions regarding connectivity potentially through the western portion of the AFRH campus to get to Zone A. And there was some discussion potentially going back to the 2008 master plan about potentially access to open space on the western portion of the campus. So I'm going to talk a little bit about connectivity, and there's going to be some ongoing discussions about these. There was an initial meeting, I think on September 15th. There's going to be another one on October 6th, and we envision a series of other meetings going forward. And just quickly, what connectivity from the home's perspective, and we were asked to look at this during when the master plan was approved, was how do people get access to the site, minimizing distance from the neighbor's perspective, and then but we're respecting some of the concerns that the home has in terms of the ability to fund something, security, maintenance, and its residents' perspective, who that's their home. So some of the considerations, or there are some, because Zone A will be kind of separated from the rest of the AFRH campus. We have to look at the access control points between the home and Zone A, some of the Zone A construction phasing and timing, and some other items potentially impacting connectivity, some of the routes and what they would cost, and then some other questions and issues. So the control points, they're kind of hard to see. They're these kind of yellow circles. These would be access control points in the main part of the campus here in Zone A. There will be some type of barrier between the main part of the home and Zone A, but like the fences that are currently there now along Irving Street and North Capitol, those will all come down. So everything to the south and to the west will be open. It will not be a gated community. All those fences will come down. The two to the southwest here are intended to be vehicular accesses, not for pedestrians. The one up to the northeast would be the main one for residents from the home coming down to access the development area. So the one that's possibly being discussed for access through the golf course area to the west is this one kind of here in the center, near the old hospital complex. And another key piece of this is the phasing. So and again, I have to stress that this is kind of preliminary, but this is our best guess, the development team's best guess right now on what the phasing would look like. The buildings in orange, kind of that will come in around the First Street entrance, that's envisioned as being part of the first phase, as well as the pasture, the public open space being open. Phase 2 would be these in light green, which would be the hospital complex, and some parcels here that would be along Scalegate. The third phase would be the light blue here along North Capitol and the boiler plant, and then the phase 4 are kind of the last couple buildings. We anticipate the development team anticipates a grocery store somewhere around the First Street entrance as part of phase 1, which we know has been a major desire of the neighborhood. But the phasing, it'll to some degree limit permeability through the AFRH zone, particularly to down here until phase 3, really once we get the Scalegate entrance established, and if there's connectivity from the west and through this access point, it would be there's issues again with having people walk through an active construction site. So those are some of the considerations that we're working under. The other thing that is factoring into the connectivity discussion is the golf course. The Zone A development will kind of take away 2 holes from the existing golf course. there was an initial approval to relocate the holes up in this kind of yellow shaded area. But there's a number of reasons we're looking not to do that, because one, if we had connectivity going through this way, you'd have people walking through in the middle of a golf course, which is probably not the most ideal situation. So what we're looking at, what the home is looking at, is how they could potentially reconfigure the golf course kind of in this whole area where there's currently a driving range and where the lakes or the ponds are in the southwest corner of the site. And we would look, I mean, part of that would be improving stormwater management on that portion of the site. But again, that's going to figure into the connectivity discussion as well. So again, in response to this request, the home is looking at a number of potential routes in response to NCPC's request. And again, it's kind of a feasibility discussion at this point. We're trying to throw out ideas and try to address, looking at concerns. The desire is to find the most practical, direct, that would be least costly to the home and least disruptive to AFRH's operations. But there are a lot of challenges, and I'll highlight some of those, again, related to cost, particularly law enforcement, and potential for the golf course reconfiguration. So one of the things that there as part of the master plan and some of the traffic or the package of mitigations along Irving Street, from kind of the first route entrance all the way to the western portion of the campus, there will be a path which is be a 10-foot wide 10-foot multi-use path that'll run all the way to the western edge of the site, and we think that is going to be one of the key things to help facilitate east-west connectivity along Irving Street and up through the campus, and then out through the Scalegate Road entrance. So a couple of the routes that we've been looking at, again, this is just preliminary, and again, wanted to just provide this as information as part of the discussion that's ongoing. For example, from ANC 4C or Ward 4, we looked at from Grant Circle, if we walk down and then use the existing path, this would be the distance. If we potentially looked at connectivity through to the access point, that's kind of the middle graphic, and then to go all the way down to where the grocery store was, we kind of use that as an early termination point. That's what the distance would be. Similarly, we looked at, okay, maybe a more northern route going through the Eagle Gate with the same kind of looking at this different, the different routes and what the distances would be. And then also we looked at, kind of Ward 1 to the south here. This is ANC 1A, again, kind of coming in going along the south with the existing path that would be put in place versus going through the Park Road Gate versus going up and through the Randolph Gate that north of the golf course. So again, the main point here is just these are some of the ideas that are being considered as part of the home's commitment, as part of the master plan improvement. And again, these are discussions that'll be ongoing. So some of the looking that the home has done is there have been some estimating in terms of, we think to build a path like that, it would be about $1.5 million. It's going to probably trigger potentially master plan updates or historic preservation reviews, and there would be additional considerations in terms of lighting, safety, and other requirements along the route. So those are all things that the home has to take into consideration. There would have to be improvements to the Randolph Gate if that was going to be opened. There'd have to be some renovation of that. There would have to be a security system installed. There would have to be some type of security personnel there. So again, these are all things that the home is having to to look at and consider and figure out how or who would pay for that. There's a number of other key questions. There would have to be some policy in terms of hours, or like who would clean up if had pets and so forth. Law enforcement is actually a big issue. This was one of the primary reasons with public access was discontinued in the 50s. The AFRH doesn't actually have legislative authority to police or have arrest authority, and MPD, DC determined in the 50s as well that they don't have jurisdiction, like criminal justice jurisdiction over the home either. So there's kind of there's a kind of a vacuum there. That would be a big issue that we would have to address. And the home can't use the park police or the Federal Protective Service because it's not a general fund. It's not an appropriated agency. So on the sorry, on the community act.
Mr. Sheckler.
Yes, sir.
About how much longer is your
About 3 or 4 minutes. I'll make it very quick.
okay.
Again, okay, community access, again, there was community access in the past. I just want to provide this as some good context. There was community access, as the home grew to about 515 acres. It's now back to about 270 acres. And again, as I alluded, that DC had concluded in the 50s that the home was not under the jurisdiction of the district, which again created the kind of law enforcement problem. The other thing, the graphic that's useful is that the area in green here was typically the area that was used for public access, which is no longer part of the home. That's been sold off and is now Washington Hospital Center, the VA land that the home sold to Catholic a number of years ago. Again, so I'm gonna skip through a couple of these things. There was some, after the 2008 master plan, there was some effort to potentially identify an entity that could potentially maintain a public park if one was established on the western portion of the site. Ultimately, and they worked with the Trust for Public Lands, and ultimately the home acknowledged that the home's mission was to provide housing for veterans, not recreational access. And there was not, at the time, there was not a successful development of a potential income stream to allow the construction and maintenance of such a park. And there's, again, as I talked about, there's a number of operational challenges in terms of the home's mission and funding limits, law enforcement, as I said. Another thing that's being talked about is potentially moving the fence back on the western portion of the site, which would allow potentially some nicer connectivity along near south along the western portion. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is just kind of a quick update on schedule. I think a number of items have been completed. As I mentioned, we're going through this. We're working with OP on developing zoning text now. We anticipate that will hopefully have a set down sometime in the fall. Potentially, there was an application for infrastructure support that was submitted, which is there's a technical review underway, and we're negotiating. The home is negotiating with the AFRH Partners development team. And then looking forward, the focus is on completing zoning in 2023, and then ultimately executing the ground lease transaction with the home as well in 2023, and then hopefully starting to move some dirt and starting in 2024. And again, so with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you for that information. It was very good and detailed information. You mentioned the thing about the the jurisdiction and DC not having jurisdiction, a federal jurisdiction. And I know, I think a year or so ago, there were some terms and all that had been worked out with regard to how this project would now operate. And I just wanted to be clear, I think in terms of under normal circumstances, positions, the opportunities for input and stuff like that, they'll still exist under this process?
Correct. What will happen is, again, under the terms of that MOU that I mentioned, that we had talked about before, the Office of Planning will essentially sponsor a map and text amendment based on the master plan, but then it'll go through the zoning process for a map and text amendment. So there would be opportunities for public input as part of that. The other thing, just on the law enforcement side, within Zone A, because it'll be a ground lease, which would be recorded with the city, then MPD would then have jurisdiction over the Zone A portion. It would just be on the federal portion of the campus where that's an issue.
Okay. Now, I noticed in your presentation also, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but we do want to, I noticed in your presentation, you talked about the different access and connectivity and everything as related to wards 1 and 4. But, and I know you talked a little bit about Irvin Avenue and what it would look like, but you didn't talk much about access and all of that from the Ward 5 side.
And that is a very good question. Yes, I mean, the primary access on the eastern side will be through the scale gate entrance. There also is a provision to take a trail, potentially to extend a trail north along North Capitol. One of the things that is kind of part and parcel to the study looking at the cloverleaf is, if the cloverleaf is reconfigured, ideally what DDOT would like to do would be kind of shrink the footprint of North Capitol a bit, which would free up potential right-of-way space for a trail going north, I think particularly on the west side of North Capitol Street.
Okay. All right.
What kind of trail? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It would be a kind of a multi-use path. So walking, biking.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that because I'm on the committee for DDOT's North Capitol redevelopment that they're doing for North Capitol Street all the way down from Mass Avenue all the way up. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that all of this that you're doing or talking about is a part of what DDOT's plan is as well. So I'm not sure if you've been attending those meetings or not.
We've attended a number of meetings, particularly around with the Cloverleaf and North. So yes, I think the answer to your question is yes. We've been an active participant in those discussions.
Okay, because I know in our meeting, they haven't had a lot of discussion around, well, since I've been attending and it got started, about the Cloverleaf. That's still a question mark about that from my perspective. Yeah, sure. Big question mark about that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Commissioner Edwards, I have something for.
Go ahead, Commissioner Lockett.
I remember hearing this from Al Gore when he was vice president pertaining to this particular land here. And at that point, I did express to him and also shared with Congresswoman Norton that I thought that best use for that land was to put a new VA hospital across the street there on that land and to take the old hospital and turn it into a mental hospital so we could keep the mental people out of these emergency rooms. But I guess it arrived to a point where development will be more useful than to try to provide some better accommodations for the veterans in the Veterans Hospital, which is, extremely old. It needs improvement, and it would be better if they put it right across the street there and make those changes. But I'm not in charge. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Mr. Sheckler, what's the plan for the grocery store you had talked about? Tell me a little bit more about that. You know what store?
I don't. I know the development team. I don't. I know that they've been talking to a number of grocers. I don't think there's been one selected yet, but it would be kind of in parcel C and D, right adjacent to First Street entrance. And again, that would be one of the things that they're trying to, that would be go in the first phase of development.
All right. Commissioner Washington, your hand is up again.
Yeah, I have another question. So from the diagrams or from the presentation, most of the construction is basically along Irving Street at North Capitol, right where we talked about the Cloverleaf.
That is correct.
Below Scalegate is what you said, correct?
Correct. Scalegate, there's Scalegate Road, and then there's the boiler plant, the building with the tall stack.
Right.
The boiler plant is kind of the northern edge of the development. So it's there south, and then basically from the golf course east to North Capitol.
Coming across Irving Street.
Correct. I'll see if I can flip to a graphic quickly.
Okay, so is this something that is being, is the construction or the development now being specifically done by the AFRH, or you all are still contracting for developers to come and develop?
Correct. We're doing that. We're the transaction. We will ground lease the entire 80 acres to a.
So we're still there.
Correct. Yeah, and AFRH Partners is the team that the home has selected, and we've worked with them through the master plan update process. But then, correct, once the master lease is signed, then they will proceed, and the zoning is put in place, and the master lease is signed. They would then proceed with the development according to their plans.
Okay, and tell me, I'm a little confused. Where does Ward 1 come in?
Ward 1 is kind of to the is kind of over.
Where does it border 5A or 4?
Well, Ward 4 is up here, kind of to the northwest, and Ward 1 is kind of immediately to the west of the golf course. So Ward 1 is down here. I don't know if you can see the cursor moving, and then Ward 4 is up here toward Grant Circle.
Ward 1 is all that residential neighborhood that's right across the street from the vacant area now.
Right. So on 5th Street, am I talking about 5th Street? Coming down 5th Street, that's Ward 1. Is that
It's
Fifth?
Rock Creek Church Road.
Rock Creek
here,
Church Road, right?
Yeah, Rock Creek Church Road and Park Place are the two, kind of the two streets on the western border. Yeah, because Rock Creek Church is up here. That's basically the southeast corner of Ward 4, and then down here, Park Place is the kind of is where the home abuts Ward 1.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All that area over there where the garden is, and from the garden up.
Correct. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a driving range here. There's ponds down here. That's correct, sir.
Okay, all right, which is at the south end of the golf course.
The ponds, correct. They're down
Yeah.
here, and then the driving range is kind of
Okay.
up in this area. Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that this project is out there. We've been talking about it for a long time, and so now it's starting to sort of take shape. Next year, you all probably will be getting more and more information with regard to it. I know that Ward 1 and 4 is working with you all, Mr. Sheckley, in terms of trying to make sure that they can be involved and engaged, and we don't have any problems with that, except that when it comes to areas in question of standing, we just want to make sure that the process, in terms of it is followed.
No, and we wholeheartedly agree, because I mean, all the home residents are Ward 5 residents.
Yes.
So we absolutely want to be mindful of that for sure.
All right. Is there anything further for Mr. Sheckley? Mr. Sheckley, do you have anything else?
No, we'll make sure to get copies of the slides so that you can distribute them. And again, we anticipate, having further discussions. And again, I know that, as I mentioned, there was there's going to be another virtual meeting on October 6th, and we'll make sure that you get invite information for that.
Mr. Sheckler, could you please stop screen sharing?
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I can.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Chairman Edwards, Chairman Edwards, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So I apologize if I did not make this clear earlier on when we were having discussion about the agenda, but I want to make it clear that, for the record, that there are 4 items under commission business that are presentations that require a vote. That's why they were under commission business. And so and most of them are on this call. So I don't want to keep them waiting for presentations that don't require commission business.
All right. So commissioners, that had been brought to my attention, earlier in terms of the vote that we took. And so I wanted to use my discretion here to take another look at the agenda and sort of do a little bit more reorganizing. What I want to do is move to C, the next item on this agenda, which is the Riggs Road Northeast Connector. And then after that, we'll move back up to item C under item 4 on the agenda. And then we'll work down from C, and then we'll come back and get in order in terms of the agenda. So with that, Commissioner Washington, I believe I will turn the floor back over to you so that we can move now to the Riggs Road, the Northeast Connector Cycle Track, which is involved in both your ANC and in Commissioner Fletcher's ANC, I believe. Commissioner Washington, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think it's more of Commissioner Fletcher's than mine, but the gentleman, this is a female by the name of Vicky Codello. Is she here?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Vicky. How are you?
Good,
Okay.
how are you?
I'm fine. Vicky, I guess, is going to give us an update on a presentation, maybe on the connector cycle of the for Riggs Road. Is that for I think it has to do with bike lanes, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, you have the floor.
Thank you. Do I have screen sharing? It looks like I might need to be allowed.
I'm gonna give that to you right now. And Ms. Connell, I would need you to send me your presentation when we're done, please.
Okay, I believe I sent it, but it must have been only to the chairperson, so I'm sorry about that. Thanks.
And Commissioner Fletcher is on as well, because part of that is in his SMD as well. He's joined us.
Okay, he's here now. I see
Yes.
Commissioner Holloway is here too.
They both are, Chairman Edwards.
I've been here. My screen was just off for a little bit, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Washington.
Okay.
Welcome.
All right, can everybody see my screen? for the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate the intro. My name is Vicki Cudulo. I'm here tonight from DDOT, and I am a transportation planner in the active transportation branch. I don't think I've met anyone on this call yet, so it's nice to meet everybody, and happy to be here tonight. So I am here to share information about a project that DDOT is pursuing to build a cycle track on Riggs Road. It would be a very small portion of Riggs Road between First Place and South Dakota Ave. I'll have obviously images showing that, but just wanted to head up the presentation by outlining where exactly the project is. This corridor also is on the edge of ANC 4B. And so after I speak with you all tonight, I'm actually going to run to the 4B meeting and share this exact same presentation with them as well. So rest assured, I'm speaking with everybody that I need to about this. And tonight the goal is to share information, get some thoughts on the project, and then we'll continue working on the design and move forward from there. So just taking a step back, DC has goals, or the district has goals to install more bike lanes and specifically more protected bike lanes. This is aimed at getting at the district's goal in increasing the number of trips that aren't by vehicle, just to improve the traffic, improve speeding that might be in the area or in the city overall, make roads safer, and also get at our Vision Zero goal, which is generally to reduce the number of traffic fatalities or severe injuries. And we see this project as being one way of cutting away at those goals. Why protected bike lanes? Just wanted to briefly mention in case this is a new graphic to folks on the call, but generally we know that there are different types or categories of bicyclists, and roughly the way the district streets are now, we know that most streets are fit only for riders that are very confident or very comfortable, even in an environment that might not be the safest or might not feel the safest. And so our goal is to get all of the city to be to a place where residents can bike more comfortably, and they don't need to be the most confident bicyclists to do so. And we see protected bike lanes as being the best way to get to that goal. I also wanted to show a graphic from the Move DC plan, which was from 2021. I zoomed in on where the project is, and you can see the dashed lines are future infrastructure that is coming to this part of the neighborhood. Again, 4B being north of Riggs and 5A being just south of it. And in brown, you can see, can you see my mouse or just the screen? You can see the mouse? Okay, thank you. So here in brown, up First Place and then taking a left onto Riggs, that is a planned extension of the Metropolitan Branch Trail that my colleagues are working on. And so the vision is that this proposed cycle track would fill in this yellow highlighted area and would be a way for cyclists to get from the Met Branch Trail. If they'd like to go east, this provides them a way of doing that. So again, it's a very, very small project. So just for scale size, so you can all see. Just to touch on this, I'm sure everybody's aware across the district, we have examples of cycle tracks and protected bike lanes that have gone in that have helped build out that network. And so we can point to areas around the city that if you're curious to see what this might look like, I'm happy to share more graphics, but these are just some examples. And then you see 4th Street behind you. This is a protected bike lane with a, it's actually a cycle track because we have bicyclists going in both directions. And these bollards are there to highlight the cycle track for the drivers. Big picture, our goal is to get from a scenario where bicyclists are on the sidewalks, trying to find space to move through the city to a world in which they have space to maneuver. They're not fighting cars for space, not also conflicting with pedestrians. And that would look more like what we see on the right hand of the page or on the screen, where again, there's that separation between drivers and pedestrians. So again, I'll now dive a little bit more into the details. I mentioned already that the Met Branch Trail is planned to come up First Place and turn left onto Riggs, where my mouse is going. So I wanted to call that out again. I am not sure if it's sticking out the most, but I hope you can see that there is a graphic showing a cycle track on Riggs Road, just east of First Place, ending west of South Dakota. So something to note, this project would not go through any intersection. We wouldn't be making any changes. So when you're approaching South Dakota, it wouldn't change the experience. The only change would be that we are making a turn pocket that is a little bit shorter than it is right now. So vehicles that are coming up Riggs Road and want to turn right onto South Dakota, we are providing them a designated space to turn, which is what the traffic engineers recommend. The thing to highlight here is that, and the reason why this project became an item on my list is that on Riggs Road heading east, so coming from, further west outside of the image on this page, there are 2 eastbound through lanes. So if you're a driver going straight on Riggs, continuing past First Place, there's 2 lanes in which you can do that. When you get past First Place, there's a 3rd lane that appears out of nowhere almost and is not necessary. And so that's where we're envisioning putting the cycle track. It's a space that isn't needed for the intersection operations at First Place, and it's also not needed for the operations at South Dakota. And so this is space that we can then provide a safe corridor for bicyclists to go down. So something else I wanted to note is that you'll see over on the right side of the page, I mentioned that we would not be taking this cycle track through South Dakota. The vision is that before that intersection, where that turn pocket begins, we'll bring the bicyclists off of the street level and onto the sidewalk, onto a trailhead. So a gathering place for people that are using the Metropolitan Branch Trail. And so the bicyclists will not be conflicting with pedestrians. They'll be going to a separate area and they'll be out of the way of the vehicles that are turning right from Riggs onto South Dakota. So this really is a little mini interim way of getting bicyclists from one facility to another. So I wanted to show from what I would call street view. So say you're standing on Riggs Road, you're looking east. And so this is the westbound traffic, and this is the eastbound traffic that I mentioned earlier. And this is the space that was a 3rd receiving lane that was not needed. And so we're looking at putting in a 2-way cycle track. So bicyclists going both ways, and then some sort of protection in between. And then the vehicles will continue, drive as they were before. I wanted to show an example of what this would look like at the approach to South Dakota. I mentioned earlier there would be a curb cut, which we'll create, and that will be where the bicyclists will go from street level onto the sidewalk, onto that trailhead. This is on Brentwood Parkway Northeast and at right just south of Mount Olivet Road. If you're curious and want to take a look yourself, we have this in the field already. So this is a tactic that we've used throughout the city. This is my final slide. It's really just to peek questions, but the big picture is that this is a facility that we think will really help build out the bike infrastructure that we have in the city. The goal is to continue to improve the safety for all the people, whether they're biking or walking or driving. This also can be seen as a traffic calming measure. And so we're seeing it as a holistic improvement for the corridor. So I'm just here as a first cut to get impressions and takeaways. So I'm happy to answer any questions or take any feedback.
Thank you. Very good presentation. Now, I just have one quick question for you. I think in terms of the presentation, I know you're just getting started with those, but have you had the opportunity to receive any public input yet with regard to this?
So this meeting is seen as that first step of our public input process. And so coming out of this meeting, I think I'll have a better sense of how to move forward. But I'm happy to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Washington, since you opened us up with this, I will go to you next, and then I will move to Commissioner Fletcher.
Okay, thank you. Well, Ms. Cadello, I'm a little disappointed in your comments about the 3rd lane on Riggs Road not meaning anything. I don't know if you've ever been on Riggs Road at any day or time in our area. We have 3 schools in that community and one that's right on Riggs Road. The traffic is always horrendous in that area. And a bike lane from First Place down to Riggs Road, taking away the 3rd lane, which is the right lane that is used for right turn onto South Dakota Avenue and for the entrance into Food and Friends, just doesn't seem that likely to me. So I'm a little concerned about a bike lane being put in that area. I'm actually concerned about bike lanes being put everywhere in the city because it's almost like the city's turning into bike lanes. And I think that at that area that you're speaking of, at South Dakota and First Place, is not going to work with a bike lane there. That's just my take on it. That's my opinion, and I'm definitely not in support of it.
Commissioner? Okay.
I apologize for jumping in. I just wanted to mention one thing, which I should have said this during my presentation, but the changes that we're making will be reviewed by a team of engineers, and they'll be looking at the traffic impacts, if there are any, and what we can do to that. Just
Could
letting
you, if you're done with your presentation, do you mind taking it off so we can all?
Oh, sure. I thought that was helpful, but yeah, I can.
No, I
unshare.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, you can take that down, yeah. Well, I really don't have confidence in traffic studies from DDOT, so that doesn't sit well with me as well, because we've asked for traffic studies, traffic impacts for that area for years, and it's just been overwhelming at the response that we get from DDOT concerning that area.
Commissioner Fletcher, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards, and Ms. Cudolo, if I said your last name correctly. First, thank you for your presentation. We do appreciate, I appreciate it. What I will first say is, I think it's good that you're jumping from this meeting to 4B to do this presentation. I would urge you to take it a step further and to also reach out to LRCA, Lamont Ridge Citizens Association, as well as North Michigan Park Civic Association, because not sure if you know, you may not, everyone that you see here is not everyone that you're going to see in those meetings, and they are going to be impacted by this as well. So you should make sure that you do your due diligence as much as possible and get to all the communities in the immediate area that will be affected. That's first. And we can get you contact for LRC at North Michigan Park. That's not a problem. Next, I do understand that we are living in a very diverse, intergenerational time where we have many new residents, younger residents, residents that want to use bicycles. I'm a bike rider myself. However, I want you to understand that this community is still we have a lot of new residents that I love. This is still a very seasoned community, right? Where you have individuals that use their cars, individuals that are single parents, elderly individuals, members of the disabled community who utilize cars, who don't all utilize bike lanes. So I just want to put that to your attention as well. And then next, I see the plans from DDOT. I've known DDOT to put plans out, graphs, charts, whatever in the inception that is completely different from what it is at the end. And so when you talk about you're saving lanes, or you're not going to really impact on lanes too much, I am very wary of that, because in my experience with DDOT, things happen and we're not informed. So my ask now is, for every step, if there's any changes to whatever it is regarding this project, we should be informed so we can disseminate that information to our community members, constituents, and we can have input in it. So that's what I'm asking you, if you can make that pledge to us that you will do that.
Absolutely. That's my intention, is to come back. So yes.
Okay, and not just come back, but if there are any changes, before those changes are taken into effect, you communicate with us, the ANC commissioners, because in my experience, that doesn't always happen with DDOT.
Sorry, I want to make sure I understand. I had already planned to come back and speak to 5A again. Absolutely. It sounds like the request is to share the information with the commissioners in advance of the meeting.
If there are going to be any changes.
Okay, absolutely.
Whatsoever.
Sure
I just want that to be on the record. Okay. As we are going through this in the beginning with you, because everything is still good. Again, I'm happy that you're here. I just want to be very clear about that. Mm-hmm. Okay, those are my comments. Those are my concerns. I'm not necessarily against the bike lane. What I am against is bike lanes that are going to take away parking spaces, especially for our older residents and, postal workers, other individuals that need the parking spaces. As long as that's not going to happen, I could see myself potentially supporting this. But again, as long as that does not happen.
Thank you also for raising that. This project will not remove any parking.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Lucio, I see you, and then Uchenna, you are next.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate that. I think that as Commissioner Fletcher stated, we have to strike a balance, right? We have residents who absolutely need and depend on their cars. There's no question about that. But we are also dealing with many, many people in this community who bike. And being that there are schools in that area, actually, I know that there's a big push for more and more people to bike to school. And I know a lot of my residents do bike their kids to school, and some of them go to those schools. So I do think we need to be cautious of how we make that a safe way for them to bike their kids to school. But I do want to just make a point that is a very, very narrow section of that road. And we also have to be conscientious of the fact that there are left turns there. And if we reduce the size, the number of lanes, how that's going to factor in. I think there's a lot of issues that still have to be played out here in terms of how it's going to work. In terms of, turning into the school, turning out of the school, turning onto Blair Road, turning off of Blair Road, and going straight, and especially at certain times of the day. But I do want to say that, while we need to be respectful of people who do drive, that, I think we absolutely also need to allow for people who bike to bike safely. So thank you.
I'm not sure that's the location that they're talking about when you said Blair Road, Commissioner Lucio.
Aren't you talking about Riggs Road by South Dakota?
That's in first
place.
Yeah.
First place. First
Yeah.
place.
That's a block
Okay,
down the hill from the school.
Right. Okay.
All right. Was there something, okay, Commissioner Lockett, I see your hand, but I had recognized your chin. So let me go to your chin.
I can't find the button on here for raising my hand, so I apologize.
Okay,
if you like for Mr. Evans to go first, I'm patient.
We'll hear from your chin now, and then after that, we'll hear from you, and then Mr. Ammerman, you will go after Commissioner Lockett. Commissioner,
thank you.
Okay, Chin.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Sorry, I'm cooking dinner. Really quickly, thank you, Ms. Caldulo. So we, the residents, actually had an event on Saturday regarding that district-owned space, that triangle that's right there in the southwest corner of South Dakota and Riggs. So my first thing is I wanted to make sure and ask if you all were planning to take away any of that green space that's right there. Secondly, Food and Friends actually hosted the event with us, and I mentioned that this was coming, where you all were looking at this. And I know the executive director did say she was very concerned because they do have vehicles all the time, their vans and delivery drivers exiting from the Riggs Roads driveway onto Riggs Road. And so I'm not sure if you have reached out to Food and Friends yet, but I just wanted to put that out there. I'm not going to speak for them, but that is something that that organization specifically mentioned. And then third, I'm just wondering if there would be an opportunity to maybe walk the site at a future date. I appreciate that you all are trying to provide a connection for those of us who live east of the Met Branch Trail to get to the Met Branch Trail. And I'm just curious if there are other opportunities, how you all plan, like, are people riding the sidewalks on South Dakota Avenue to get to this cycle track? Like, what exactly is the vision besides just this kind of one block cycle track that you have in mind? Thank you.
My bad. All right.
I thought, wait. Ms. Cordillo, were you going to respond to that? I think she had sort of asked a couple of questions that deserve a response. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, thank you for tagging me in. I just wanted to get my notes down so I got everything.
Okay.
So thank you for your questions and your comments. In regards to the space on the southwest corner of South Dakota, my understanding is that that is property owned by the district and is almost like space that you all know because you've been in the neighborhood a long time, but there used to be a pork chop in that area where cars were driving through, where there's now green space, and the city made it into a green space several years ago. And so the vision would be to use that space to, you know, activate it for the public and create a trailhead there. And so while it would be a change to it being grass, the goal is to make it a like a place where folks can gather before they get on the Met Bridge Trail, providing like a benefit to the community. I did note down the organization that you mentioned, and it sounds like I will need to look into that. So thank you for raising that. And then the opportunity to walk the site together. That's something that I'm definitely open to. And I think I can get your contact information perhaps from the chairperson, and we can take a look at that.
Thank you.
Sorry, Commissioner Lockett, you have the floor.
Okay, I'm gonna piggyback on a little bit what Commissioner Washington said. Have any of your people came to that intersection in the rush hours, day and evening? And for that turn, what I can't understand, why are we bringing people into the street for not even a full block and then put them back onto a sidewalk? As soon as they make that turn, that right-hand turn, they can stay right on the sidewalk all the way down. Now, the other thing is that that right-hand turn that puts you on South Dakota Avenue, since they took away the other one was there, that is a plus for the people who live here, at least for people like me. I do not want to sit in that traffic from the top of that hill all the way down bottom all day long in order just to make a turn on South Dakota Avenue. I just can't see it. And when you talk about the distance, just to use that, the same distance on South Dakota Avenue, which I measured, it's almost the same thing there on Riggs Road. If you take 2 trucks and 2 buses going north and south, you got about 6 inches from the sidewalk to sidewalk on both sides. So if you take that away and use that at just that stretch where they come in for the bridge here, you're just asking for somebody to get killed. Because these drivers there do that intersection trying to get back and forth to work, and they're not worrying about a bicycle person. They will have those problems there. I would rather see them get up on the sidewalk and let that traffic pattern stay in place where they make the right-hand turn and leave it alone. Thank you.
I just wanted to answer your first question, which was why are we not having bicyclists just stay on the sidewalk? And I think the simple answer is that the sidewalk isn't wide enough to allow for bicyclists and pedestrians to safely travel there. And so that is why we looked at putting the bicyclists and the bike infrastructure in the street. I definitely just want you all to know I'm taking notes. I have all the comments. I didn't say that at the start, but I want you to know everything you're saying tonight. I am writing it down and I'm taking that back with me.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ammerman. You have the floor, and then after that, Commissioner Rojas.
Hi there. I'm the candidate for 5809, which is where the vast majority of where this new bike lane will be once the new districts take place in January. I'm just wondering, I have a question, I'm supportive of the concept. I'm just curious why you weren't more ambitious, why you didn't at least go all the way to South Dakota Avenue. As you indicated in your first slide, there is a future plan to put a protected bike lane in the Move DC plan on South Dakota Avenue as well. Why wouldn't you at least go all the way to South Dakota Avenue so you could connect to the future bike lane going on South Dakota?
I'm definitely happy to answer that. The reason is because one, the vehicles turning right onto South Dakota need space to queue, which we've all heard and talked about tonight. And the other reason is that trailhead that I mentioned, that would be off street in the grass area, that would then connect to the bike facility that would be on South Dakota. So they would be basically bypassing the intersection.
Okay.
And then I just had a question as far as what the timeline would look like to get a traffic report from DDOT, because I think that's an important part of kind of assessing this issue. Is there a targeted timeline to get that taken place? to get more information? I know you mentioned that that was something that's going to be done.
I don't have an exact timeline, but I will make sure to keep in contact with the ANC whenever I have any new information. We have asked for traffic analysis for those 2 intersections, and I don't have those results yet, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are we talking about putting a bicycle lane on South Dakota Avenue also?
That is called out in the Move DC 2021 plan. I can pull that back up if you'd like, or share a link in the chat. That's a plan that was approved just over a year ago.
Are we actually get people killed? As I mentioned just now, on South Dakota Avenue, I measured it. I live right on South Dakota Avenue here. And if you have 2 buses or 2 trucks going in opposite direction, you only have 6 inches from sidewalk, from curb to curb. Where do you put a bike trail? Now, do you try to reduce the size of the road for bicycles? You can't do that with all this heavy traffic. It's the main thoroughway. It's impossible. That is asking for someone to get killed.
I definitely hear
know
that. And luckily for tonight, that's outside of the scope of what we're talking about. That is a project that will tackle that separately.
I'm bringing the 2 statistics to you now before you even get to that point to let you know that is impossible. You cannot put a bike trail on South Dakota Avenue with the heavy traffic 22 hours a day. It is impossible. You don't even have 6 inches from curb to curb. I appreciate if you, I don't want to come out my backyard and sweeping up a bicycle person be killed by a bus or a truck, because this road is used for a whole lot of equipment for all the developers that's taking place. And they're not.
I think we really need to wait to get an assessment on that, because that's not really the scope of the conversation tonight. And there are bike lanes on many other major artery streets within DC, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. And so I think we just need to wait until WABA comes back to us with that information, because that's not really the scope of the discussion tonight. And we have a large agenda tonight that we need to get to.
Didn't you just interfere and took over the conversation? I didn't even talk that long. Why do you do these things? Why do you always have to be important?
Now, excuse me, Commissioner Lucio, I would like to say we do not, normally sort of appreciate those kind of outbursts. We expect everyone.
My apologies.
We expect everyone to be recognized and then be able to speak. Commissioner Lockett, were you finished?
Yes, sir. I apologize, but it's not appropriate for people to keep interfering like that for whatever reason. Thank you.
Point well taken. I believe.
Okay. Commissioner Edwards, there's some questions or some statements in the chat. Is anybody monitoring the chat?
I was not, but do you see something there that you want?
Yeah, I see one that's in the chat.
Okay.
It's saying, Jamie Ansell is saying, how is the addition of the bike lane?
Yeah, but I can't hear.
How is the addition of the bike lane going to be incorporated into a larger scale approach to that entire intersection? That whole stretch of Riggs Road is under tremendous amount of development, and I feel like bike lanes, which I support, need to be added along a larger scale rethinking of that entire area.
Thank you for calling my attention to that question in the chat. That one flipped while we were talking as a group. I want to make sure I understand. It sounds like this person is talking about South Dakota. Do you know which intersection they might be speaking about?
Jamie,
this is Jamie Ansell. I'm speaking of that whole area on Riggs, basically from the first place all the way to the intersection with South Dakota. So a section that does include where the bike lanes are. There's just a ton of development coming in on Riggs. Like we already mentioned the schools, but then they've got like all the housing that's going in over there, and obviously Food and Friends is there. There's the development. There's that new Chick-fil-A, which is crazy, and the Walmart that has come in. All that stuff has come in, and the roads have not been updated at all over there. And I'm supportive of bike lane infrastructure going in throughout the city. So I want to see it done, but I think it needs to be done as part of a comprehensive approach to that entire roadway, because all we're doing is sort of building more and then tacking on things, I think, piecemeal. concerns me. I would want it to be more of like a comprehensive approach, a plan for both for multimodal transportation, for pedestrians, for bikes, for cars.
Okay. I think we've had a very good discussion here this evening with regard to this. Thanks for bringing the information to the community. As has been indicated, Commissioner Fletcher made the point, I think very good, is that we would definitely like to be kept informed as to the progress and planning with regard to this. And as soon as you have a better idea, I think in terms of, you know, DDOT and the transportation study or whatever it is that they're doing, and you can share that information, I think it would be very helpful. I mean, the impacts on the green space and all of that that have been talked about are concerns that we definitely want to make sure that you keep us abreast of. We fought hard to get green space. And so when we start hearing now about that green space sort of going away, we want to make sure that, you know, we have had an opportunity to have some worthwhile input into those discussions. Commissioners, anything further that you have for Ms. Cardula? Ms. Cardula, is there anything that you'd like to say in closing?
If no one else has any comments, I just want to say thank you again and just go back to what I said at the very beginning, which this was my introduction to you all. I'm really happy to at least have met everyone, and this will be an ongoing conversation. I do have all the notes from what we talked about. I just want to make sure that I make that clear that I'm going to be back and we'll talk further about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Edwards, just one comment, if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah. Just want to say as well, Ms. Cardula, thank you very much again. I hope that you were not put off by our maybe aggressive but direct comments, because we care about our community and we just want to make sure that whatever is happening is something that is in the best interest of North Michigan Park. So we hope that you keep coming back. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. We'll now move up to item 4C, and it is a permit parking only for the unit block of Hamilton Street. 5807 has the floor.
Commissioner Washington, I think you're muted.
I'm sorry, I'm not unmuted. I apologize. I received the email from one of the constituents that lives on Hamilton Street requesting permit-only parking for their block. They've been dealing with parking of staff from Brea and Bridges and from Mary's Center for the last 5 years. It's become very overwhelming for the residents that live there, not being able to find parking when they come home during the day. If they run out to run an errand, to come back, there's no parking because of the ongoing traffic in and out of those two chartered schools and Mary's Center. So I'm not sure if anyone from Hamilton Street is on tonight on the conference, but I would like to put a motion on the floor because I'm in support of their request, especially in light of the fact that this new school parking zone legislation or rulemaking has been passed, and we've already been experiencing some issues with that with Bridges, which hopefully we've worked out. But as I said, I am in support of the residents asking for that, and I would like to put a motion on the floor to get support from my commissioners to support a permit-only parking for the unit block of Hamilton Street Northeast. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
I would second that.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that ANC 5A support the residents of Hamilton Street, seeking permit-only parking.
The unit block of Hamilton Street.
The unit block, okay, the unit block of Hamilton Street.
There is one question in the chat, whether that'd be one side or both sides.
I think that's for DDOT to decide. They'll make that determination, whether they'll do it both sides or one.
Any other questions? The commissioners, you have a motion before you that has been seconded to support the request of the residents of unit block of Hamilton Street for permit-only parking. Are you ready for a question? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yep.
Abstentions? Okay, hearing none, let the record reflect that the vote was unanimous on that.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, we're moving now to the next item on the agenda is the 1343 Webster Street Special Exception 5803.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. Is Chris Mancini on the call?
I am on the call, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chris. Okay. Commissioners, my resident in my single member district, Chris Mancini, came in front of my single member district at our meeting a few weeks ago to present about his plan to put an addition on his house and my single member district on his property, and my single member district voted in favor. I'm going to let Chris talk in detail about what he's actually looking to do. But Chris, if you could give a brief explanation of what you're doing, and if you need me to give you screen sharing, let me know.
Okay, sure, thank you. And I do believe that CJ Lamora, who is my architect, is on here as well. I did shoot him a quick message to see if he wants to chime in on anything, but until he responds, I will go ahead and just give a brief summary of what it is.
I see him, and I did give him screen sharing as well, if either one of you need it.
Got it, okay. CJ, do you want to say anything, or do you want me to?
We can't hear him.
He's muted.
Oh, okay.
He's got it. He's got the presentation up. Chris, go ahead.
Got it. Yeah, picture's worth 1,000 words.
So, Chris, are you going to give the explanation of it?
Sure. So you can see from the cover page here, this is my house. And when I bought the house, it's my vision for the house in building it in a way that I could, grow my family and make this a long-term home was to build on top of the existing garage, which is at basement level, building a dining room and powder room on the first floor and turning what is a very, very tiny extra bedroom on the second floor into a usable bedroom. You can't really fit much other than a college dorm size bed in the room as it stands right now. And then from there, using that space where that small bedroom was to put a staircase up to the roof. And
so I apologize. I was muted for some reason. Chris, would you like me to just briefly take over real quick here and run through this?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, you're in control of the screen. That could be easier.
Great. So as Chris mentioned, there's a small garage here. This is a
Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
No worries. So this is the garage in question. It's currently a non-conforming structure in that it encroaches upon the required side yard setbacks. And so that's the relief. That's part of the relief we'll be asking for, is to encroach on these setbacks and to add an addition above this existing garage here. That addition would occur on the side yard in between these two structures. And we have a letter of support from the adjacent neighbor immediately to the east, as they would be the most affected person.
As well as the west.
Correct. So we have support letters from both adjacent neighbors. This is that garage there. in order to accommodate some of the things that we would be achieving, we will be removing portion of the roof, mansard roof. We'll be bringing that, basically to bring that mansard roof up and around. I'll just give you a little bit of a demo here, what Chris was saying about the tight bedrooms. This is that tight, very tight bedroom, unusable space. And essentially what we're proposing at the ground floor on top of the garage is, you know, some sort of dining room with attachment directly to the kitchen, small powder room, a bay window, and then going up to the second floor, turning that bedroom into circulation space into an enlarged bedroom at the second floor with a small staircase up to a doorway at the roof with a proposed roof deck at the top. The second item that we're requesting relief for is at that staircase. There's a small portion of that staircase where you come up to that front door that would not conform to the what would be considered penthouse setbacks with this 1-to-1 setback requirement shown in the dashed line. So that's just the other portion of relief that we're asking for. Is there is a small portion of this access to the roof that we would need relief for. So the two relief items to reiterate are encroaching on the side yard to build these 2 stories above the existing garage, and then a small encroachment at the penthouse setbacks for roof access. We've also done some studies to see how this would affect the immediate neighbors. There's honestly, there's very little change relative to what we're adding. Most of our sun falls east-west in the morning and evening, and those shadows don't really change. And luckily for us, as the sun moves south, our shadows start to come into the streets for the various parts of the year. So that's our presentation. If you have any questions, we'll just leave a few images up and we can jump through wherever you like.
Thank you. Actually, if you wouldn't mind taking it down for the moment, because it's easier to see everybody and see who's questions. So, Chairman Edwards, let me just reiterate that they did present to the single member district in September, and our single member district did vote to approve and support this project. And as he also mentioned, they also have letters of support from the immediate 200 feet neighbors.
And thank you. And what's your pleasure?
Therefore, what I would like to ask is that ANC 5A vote in support of the special exemption for 1343 Webster Street. I'd like to make a motion to that effect.
I'll second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded that ANC 5A support the application as discussed by Mr. Mancini. And we are specifically supporting 2 variances, if you will, and the first is the encroachments and setbacks with regard to the side yard, and then the penthouse setback with regard to the roof access. You've heard the question. You've heard the motion. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor, Commissioner Lucio, before we vote on this, have you been provided copies of drawings and all of the documents that would be necessary to sort of support the commission's record with regard to this?
I was provided the previous copy, but I was about to ask them to send us the updated copy because this slide presentation is updated a little bit from what they showed us before.
No problem.
Okay, commissioners, you've heard the motion. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, let the record reflect that the vote was unanimous. Commissioner Lucio, anything in closing on this?
Not on that. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Actually, Chairman Edwards, what would you like from me or from the resident in terms of, or are you prepared to write a statement with the information I've shared with you tonight?
Thanks for asking, and I would just like a draft of what you guys would like to see going out.
Okay, and Chris, we've talked about that, and so let's continue that conversation, make sure we have what we need, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks.
All right. Once we get that, we'll get it taken care of. Thanks very much, Chris, again, a good presentation. Sounds like a very interesting project. Hope once it's done, you enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. The next item on the agenda, item E, it's BZA 20793. This is the 36 Hawaii Avenue Northeast project. I believe that's in Commissioner Holloway. Commissioner Holloway, you have the floor.
Yes, I'm actually, one is Mr. Marty on the line.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Okay, all right, sir. You have the floor now.
Thank you. My name is Marty Sullivan. I'm zoning counsel for the property owner at 36 Hawaii. And the owner's with me as well here, I believe, Lily Haptom. And the architect Dave Bloom is here as well. So if I could share my screen, I'll go over the plans. This is relief, and it's an RA1. What we're doing actually is the building's 3 units at 36 Hawaii, but it only has a C of O for 2 units. So in order to get the C of O for 3 units, along with the renovation of the inside, we need relief under U421 because it's in the RA1, because anytime you add units, whether you're adding them or adding them on paper for the C of O, we need the approval from BCA because it's RA1. So there's no addition being proposed here. There's no expansion of the envelope. It's just a renovation of the inside and basically making the 3 units legal. We do have the support of the only adjacent neighbor. We have a support letter from them, as well as another neighbor a couple doors down.
So I need just to be a little clear again, in terms of the relief you said you needed. Help me understand it again.
Yeah, so there's actually no relief from any development standard because we're not doing any work. But in the RA1 zone, all new multifamily residential development requires BZA approval. And as a result of certain reinterpretations and an appeal that took place a couple of years ago, what it ended up being interpreted as, anytime you add a unit to a building that's 2 or more units, you have to go to BZA. So for instance, I went to BZA today for a case where we just put 2 new units in a basement of a 4-unit building, and no outside work. This is similar to that, except we're not even adding the units. We're just making the 3rd unit legal and renovating the inside.
Mm-hmm. And so,
but there's no relief needed itself from any of the development standards.
Okay, so Commissioner Holloway, did I hear you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Marty, from what I understand in talking with the resident there, they're only working on the inside. And is that on 1 floor or more than 1 floor?
I'll turn it over to the architect, Dave. In the meantime, I'll pull up the plans and some photos that I have.
Yeah, hi, this is Dave Bloom. I'm with District Architecture Studio. So the majority of the work is interior to the building to basically renovate the 3 existing units. There's no addition, as Marty mentioned. We are proposing to move what is currently a exterior stair that goes out the back of the building towards the alley to the side of the building that faces Allison Street. And if we can get the plans pulled up, I can show you that in a little bit more detail.
You see him here, Dave?
I see the property quest map.
Oh, okay. Got the wrong screen. Hold on. How's that?
Still just property quest.
Should be up in a second.
Okay. Other than moving the stairs, we are replacing the windows on the outside and enlarging some of the window openings. Here we go. So we have this is the photograph at the corner of Allison and Hawaii, looking at the building.
This should be the plan. You don't have the plans up now?
Nope.
All right, I'm gonna hold on one second. I'm gonna try one more time here.
There we go. Yeah, so this is a good one to look at. So this is the existing and proposed site plan. The one on the bottom is the existing. You can see dashed towards the right of the building is an existing exterior stair. It's just a metal staircase. Move your cursor down to the right there. So we're taking that out and putting it on the side that faces Allison Street, which you can see on the proposed site. It's on the left side of the building. And that is to just make the interior circulation work better, to get better access into the units. These are also some plans that just show the interior layout for reference of the 3 units. The 3 units there right now are all 2-bedroom units, and we're keeping that same configuration, 1 unit per floor.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Sure.
Yeah, any other questions? I mean, there's not much to go over because there's, like you said, it's all, other than that, it's all interior.
So you all are seeking what, ANC support for this? Tell me where we are now and what we can do for you guys this evening.
Yeah, we would love to have the support of the ANC. We have a hearing coming up within a month. So if the ANC could vote,
the hearing
tonight,
is on
really
the,
appreciate it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Marty. The hearing is on the 26th. And being that I think everything is being done inside, and I've spoken with this resident several times, and the 2 residents that are nearby, they're not even doing anything that's going to cause any kind of issues, but they just needed to go through the ANC to get support. So that's what we're trying to do tonight, and putting the vote on the table for that.
Right, and so just I want to make sure in terms of exactly what it is that we are voting on so that everybody is clear. So now this is a RA1 zone. The zone is changing. Under the new zone, which I don't recall what it was, it seems that there is a requirement for BZA approval with regard to this activity. And that is the reason. So because of the new zone and the requirement for BZA approval, that is the relief, more so the relief, which is just sort of operational relief, if you will, and does not really have any impact on the neighborhood. That's what I'm hearing. Is that correctly explained?
That's correct, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
All right, so what are you proposing, Commissioner Holloway? Is there a motion tonight?
Yeah, I would like to put a motion on the floor to 5A to support the resident at 36 Hawaii Avenue with this project.
Was there a second?
second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that ANC 5A support the application for zone relief with regard to this project at 36 Hawaii Avenue. You've heard the motion, commissioners. Are there any questions? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, let the record reflect that the vote on this issue was unanimous. Commissioner Holloway, anything further?
No, that's it. Thank you, commissioners.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the Kennedy School and 801 Buchanan. These are BZA applications, one for Catholic Charities and the other one for 801 Buchanan. Those are both in 5A03. 5A03, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity tonight. Let me provide a bit of a brief introduction to where we started from and where we are now with this project. So about a year and a half ago, I was made aware that this project was moving forward. And I reached out to the people who were planning the development of this project, along with people from Catholic Charities in regard to, Catholic Charities and the people of Providence Hospital. Because knowing very well that Providence Hospital was going to be coming further down the line with development. And so I reached out to both properties and I said, with such a large space of land, because they are connected, they butt each other. I wanted to make sure that these two properties worked together in their development plans to ensure that the residents within, particularly my single member district, but it does abut Commissioner Fletcher's SMD as well. I wanted to make sure that there was, in addition to what the plan was to develop, that there was green space and amenities for our community. And so we have over the time continued to work on that. I will say that Providence is not quite as far along in their plans to develop as the Kennedy School is. However, they are inching closer, and the likelihood is that the Kennedy School project, as you will hear, is in two different pieces. They are looking to build a new school. The existing school is in desperate need of a renovation and overhaul. And I will say this, that none of the residents in my single member district had a single problem with them building a new school. We didn't have a problem with the design. We didn't have a problem with them doing it. We have not a single problem with the school. They're asking to build, in addition to the townhomes, the other BZA request, in addition to the school, the other BZA request is for 80 townhomes that would be adjacent to the new school. That is where we came into the biggest sort of confrontation about this project. And I will let Lila and Will talk about the zoning and everything else with that project. But I will share that we went back to the table with them 3 times to the point where we're at now with the proposal that they're going to share with you tonight. And the residents in my single member district did approve this proposal the way it stands tonight. And 2 of the things that I think are critical with this plan are they left a section of green space at the back of their project that abuts the Providence Hospital boundary. And that's the first part. The part 2 is that I got the people who are the Providence Hospital people and their developer to jointly draft a statement with this developer to go to the Office of Planning that clearly states that between the 2 properties, they plan to work together, adjoin their green space, and provide the community a dog park, a fenced-in dog park, a play area, walking trails, green space, a sports field of some sort. So While this property is not providing the majority of that green space, they are providing a section of it. And so I think we've made a lot of strides over the last few months in talking with this developer and with this project. And I will say that our community is very happy with that. We also got a few other community benefits as part of this project that I'll just mention briefly before I let them take over, which is we worked to get RPP parking for the residents who currently live on Buchanan Street and within 200 feet of the property, so that they have guaranteed parking. We did include a tax relief donation from this developer for the elderly residents in our community if their taxes increase, which they likely will, and a couple of things I think that Will can mention, but I just wanted to highlight those two things. So with that, Will and Lila, I've given you both co-hosting permission, so one of you should be able to share their presentation. But Chairman Edwards, as I said, I just want to share that my SMD has put a lot of time and effort in talking to them, and I think we are all in favor of this project moving forward. So thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And before the presenters, Commissioner Fletcher, are you still here?
I am just little bit of grace. My wife is 7 months pregnant, and it's my night to cook dinner. So it's kinda, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I was getting ready to step. I was getting ready to step away for a minute.
I'm back. I got you.
You can.
I got you, Chairperson. I got you.
So keep it going for me.
Okay, just
I think Commissioner Fletcher, I think we're ready to move on to the presentation, and Lila and Will have co-hosting permissions all set, so we're ready to go.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so thank you very much, Commissioner Lucio, for your opening remarks. I should thank you for working so closely with us over the past several months. For the record, my name is Lila Batiste. I am with the law firm of Holland and Knight, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Chris Cohen and John Oliver. So we're here representing two applications. And the first, I think because there are no issues, Commissioner Lucio, with the school site, I know that the broader community hasn't seen it. So I'm gonna just pull up the PowerPoint and ask Natalie just to kind of walk through the building design, just so that the community can see what is being proposed in terms of the new school facility. So just bear with me. And this is the first application. Natalie, I guess I can start here. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't even see my screen, can you? I'm going to just start on the site plan for the school. And if you just want to walk through the design, that might be helpful to the community.
Okay, great. Here we see the site plan. To orient us, north is facing page left, so that's Buchanan. We've nestled the building in the center of the site with an accessible entry off of Buchanan Street. This will serve as the main entry point for the Child Development Center. To the south of the site, we've located the main Kennedy School entrance with a bus loop. Reason being, we really want to pull that bus traffic off of Buchanan and back to the rear of the site. The building itself helps to create a central exterior courtyard. Protected from the street, it's going to provide the sheltered, safe space for children. The building itself is segmented in order to bring the volume more in line with the adjacent residences. So here you'll see that 2-story volume. It's broken up to, again, be more in line with the residential scale, as well as be more at the child scale, and create this village-like massing on the site. It also helps us to deal with the slope site. It's a little deceptive here, but the site does slope from Buchanan up towards the south. We've also pushed back the building in order to create a green buffer between the school and Buchanan. Here we're looking at one of the main entries. We've concentrated a lot of glazing at this main entry to create a welcoming and inviting space. We have an overhead balcony to help create a sheltered entry for the kids. We're utilizing durable building materials such as light metal, wood, and glass. Here we see the primary building elevations. Again, it's a 2-story building, but the floor levels do cascade to again address the slope site. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. So technically the request for the school site is a special exception approval to permit the construction of the private school. And then we also require special exception approval to have 31 compliant parking spaces, or 37 are required. I'll just note that we do have 7 tandem parking spaces. I'm going to go back to the site plan. 7 tandem spaces that will be utilized by faculty and staff who don't go, obviously, given the use, they're not going on and off the property frequently during the day. So that will be able to be managed by the school. And so those are the 2 requests, technical requests before the ANC. And we are here to request the ANC's support of this application. It is going to be heard by the Board of Zoning Adjustment on October 19th, along with the companion application, the townhouse community, that we will discuss next. So Commissioner Lucio, do you want to take these applications individually, or do you want to take one vote at the end?
Actually, Lila, I think let's do it once. We'll do vote for both at the end. I think because they do work in tandem, I think it's just helpful to hear both of them.
Okay, great. So the next application is BZA case 20751. And the reason, I'm going to actually let MJ Morrow, who is the Chief Financial Officer for Catholic Charities, I think I should probably let her speak and give some background on how these applications are related, and talk about the relationship between Concordia and Catholic Charities for this site.
Thank you, Lila. Hi, I'm MJ Morrow, the Chief Financial Officer at Catholic Charities. And we have, the Kennedy School that operates on the site, in addition to our Child Development Center, was founded in 1959. As others have said, the facility is outdated and we need a new one. And we have spent at least the 11 years I have been with the agency trying to come up with a plan that works. And the plan we have come up with is to sell 4.7 of our 6.7 acres to Concordia and use the proceeds from that, along with some philanthropic and hopefully other grant funding, to enable us to build the new facility. We obviously want to stay in the community. We have a fully licensed OSSI approved child development center that handles children from 6 weeks to age 4. And we handled both children with developmental differences, but also typically developing children. So we are an affordable community amenity. Our daycare center, I learned this morning actually in a presentation, is probably $1,000 a month less than the average in DC. So we are an important community amenity, as well as our school, which is a non-public school, but all of our children are referred by OSSI. So they are all coming from the district, and they are, our school handles from age 6 through 22. All we offer both certificate program and diploma tract for children who need an all-day IEP. In other words, children who cannot be mainstreamed. We've operated on the site for a long time. We hope to continue to be wonderful neighbors. And as I said, really working with the sale of a portion of our land gives us the majority of the funds we need in order to be able to build a new school. And Natalie walked you through the design, but we're really excited about it because it is really a welcoming, modern, new environment, both for our Child Development Center, but also for our school. It's a 2-story site with no elevator. It's all ramped, so the children who have physical limitations, don't have to wait for an elevator and be treated differently than their classmates. And so we're just really excited about this opportunity to stay in the community, continue to serve, and do it in a way that is financially responsible for us, and continue to provide this valuable resource.
Okay, thank you, MJ. So, as she noted, I'll just reiterate, the construction of the new school is contingent upon the sale and entitlement of the 4 acres that is the subject of the next application we're going to present. Oh, hold on a second. Let me make sure I'm sharing the screen. Okay. And so this is a townhouse community that's being proposed. This is on 4.5 acres, more or less, of the 801 Buchanan Street property. Okay, so the school site, I thought we had another slide, but the school will be essentially on the 2 acres to the east, and then the townhouse community will be developed on the balance of the site. So again, this is the companion application to the school. It will be heard by the BZA on October 19th. Today, we filed our pre-hearing statement, and Commissioner Lucio and a copy of the statement was sent to you and Commissioner Edwards, I believe, earlier today. So there are 2 or 3 technical requests before the ANC and the board. There are 2 special exception approvals required, one for residential development in the RA1 zone, and then a special exception approval for, it's a really technical requirement of the theoretical subdivisions, meaning you can have these multiple townhouse lots on a single record lot. And then we need a variance from the alley width requirements. And so those are the 3 requests before the that will be considered by the board to approve the proposed application. I'm going to stop here and turn it over to Will, who will go, this really starting with how the plan has evolved over the last several months with the input of Commissioner Lucio and the immediate community. I will note we met 3 times with Commissioner Lucio, single member district constituents, and those have been very helpful. We've also worked very closely with the Office of Planning and DDOT, which, Will talk more about the features of the project that have evolved with their input. And then the last 2 things I'll note is we have our traffic consultant, Jamie Milanovich with Wells and Associates on the line, and then Brian Rule from VICA, which is the engineering firm that is overseeing the project. So that's the first thing. And then the last thing I'll note is that this property is zoned RA1, which is an apartment zoning district. And so we've maintained as we've gone out to the community meetings that the density that's being proposed is far less intense than what could be developed on this property as a matter of right, which is pretty high number, nearly 300 apartment units on a property this size. So we believe this density and the townhouse development is modest and far less intensive than again what can be constructed as a matter of right. And so with that, I will stop presenting and turn it over to Will. And Will, you can just tell me when to change the slides.
Thank you, Lila. And my name is Will Collins. I'm the managing partner of the Concordia Group, and we'll be the residential developer of this property. And we feel very honored to be working with Catholic Charities on this development, as they've done such great work with the Kennedy School. And I know we're excited about the future construction of this townhome development, as well as the future construction of the new school. But greatly appreciate your time tonight. We're proposing 80 fee simple townhomes. They will be 3-story townhomes, brick facades on the front, and the majority of the sides will be brick, and hardy plank material on the rear of the homes. A couple main features that we've worked on in this plan over time with the Office of Planning has to provide 2 means of egress into the project. And these roads provide the opportunity for connectivity at a future date with the development of the Providence Hospital site that Ascension Healthcare will bring forward at some point in time in the near future. So that was a critical point for the Department of Transportation as well as Office of Planning. Of the 80 homes, 9 of the homes will be inclusionary zoning, affordable homes. 71 of the homes would be market rate. Things that we've worked on with Department of Transportation is there are 2 significant heritage trees that will be relocated from the townhome piece over to the school piece. And I think one of the things I wanted to do real quick was just talk a little bit about timing of these projects and how they would be staged. Well, the school, provided that we get support from the ANC and a BZA approval, it's the hope that construction on the school, on the new facility, would start sometime in late spring or early summer of next year. As the school needs to stay in operation until the new facility is built, it would not be until such time as the students and staff occupy the new facility before we would commence with the demolition of the existing school and then the future development of the townhomes. So from a timing standpoint, we do believe we're somewhere approximately 24 to 26 months away before the townhome community would start. So
Will,
just
can I interject real quick?
Sure.
I mentioned briefly earlier that there was that we thought that the Providence project may, be aligned with this, and this is why, because the townhome development won't be starting until 2025, and so I think we're anticipating that the Providence project will probably align within that, and I think they'll probably be building about the same time. So just wanted to clarify that.
That is correct, Commissioner. And
excuse me, Commissioner Lucio, how much longer? We still have a lot on the agenda.
It'll be, I can wrap up here quickly. I think the things that are important about this plan is it provides a central green space with heavy landscaping, and it provides, as Commissioner Lucio said, on the southern portion of the property, a green space that we have worked in cooperation with Ascension Healthcare to agree to provide this green space for the future dog park, tot lot, walking area that will be a benefit to the community, the overall community and all of its residents. This is not a gated community. It is open. These green areas are open to all its neighbors. But I want to thank Commissioner Lucio for all of her engagement with us. She has a very active single member district who had an awful lot of input. I think a couple things that we've committed to that she hasn't spoken to is that we're going to be doing a survey of all surrounding neighbors and their homes to ensure that there is no disturbance to their house. We'll be doing seismic monitoring throughout all the construction of the school as well as the townhome. And we're excited about the opportunity to do this development, and we greatly appreciate your time tonight, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. But thank you very much. I know you have a busy agenda, don't want to go on and on, but we think we've got a good project here.
Thank you, Will and Lila. So I will allow, I'm happy to answer questions. We're all happy to answer questions, but I know in the interest of time, I did want to just make a motion that I would like the support of the ANC 5A of both of these BZA projects for the Kennedy School and 801 Buchanan Street development, and ask that my fellow commissioners also support that. As it's been mentioned multiple times, we have been meeting about this for months, where we got to this point, and I think everyone in the community is very happy with where we're at. So thank you.
Okay, William, Layla, MJ, thank you very much for the presentation. We very much appreciate that. Commissioners, Commissioner Lucio has provided a motion to approve the BZA application. Just for the record, it is BZA number 20749 and BZA case number 20751. Are we ready for the question?
Well, we need a second.
My apologies. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Rojas. Ready for questions? Okay, I see we have one from Commissioner Lockett.
One.
Well, Commissioner Lockett, you have the floor.
Okay, all right. I'm looking at the list here that I wrote here, and you said 80 townhouses. What are the prices of those townhouses? Do they have that in place yet?
I think in this ever-changing market, we don't have pricing right now. I think if you had asked us a couple months ago, we think the homes, the market rate homes will be in the mid $700,000 to $800,000, and then the inclusionary zoning homes would be somewhere in the $340,000 to $360,000 range, which is at the prescribed prices of DHCD right now for inclusionary zoning homes.
The name of the developer who's going to build those homes?
It's the Concordia Group.
Okay. Are they local?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Commissioner Lockett, so Will is from the Concordia Group. I just want to clarify that.
Lucio, please, can I make him talk without you interfering? Please. You interfere every time I try to talk. Let them speak for themselves. I'm talking to them, not you.
Commissioner Lockett, if you would have listened in the first place, you would have known that Commissioner Williams was from Concordia Group.
Commissioner
That was
Lockett,
clear.
Commissioner Lucio, Commissioner Lockett, you have the floor. I know I'm not the chairman, I'm just the vice chairman, but let's keep the order. Commissioner Lockett, you have the floor right now.
That's to be respectful, please.
Yes, that's what we're all gonna be respectful.
Yeah.
So
Commissioner Lockett, I just want to say that Concordia Group is local. Mr. Collins is a DC native, and he's been involved in several projects in the city, including South Dakota Avenue.
So Commissioner Lockett, I'm a DC native, actually a graduate of Archbishop Carroll High School right up the street and Catholic University. We are the co-developer of Fort Lincoln Newtown. We've developed over roughly 1,000 units over at Fort Lincoln. So we are very familiar with Ward 5, and we feel very, this is, I grew up right down the street here, and very fortunate to be working with Catholic Charities on a project that feels like home to me. So thank you so much for asking the question.
And I'm sharing with you my honesty. I just feel a little uncomfortable when we find the homes in the area going to prices to $800,000 and $900,000, just like that. That's a reflection, will become a reflection of the rest of the community here. Okay. And that reason I say that because it's very hard when you have 9 homes set aside for low income, and the rest 71 homes are at the 800 or in some cases I see now some of them are 900,000. That may reflect on some of us who live in this community. After a while, the assessment that the government does to us, now our taxes will go up. And that's my concern for the senior residents who do live in this community.
Yeah, yes, sir. I think one of the things that I do want to speak to is the fact is that that concern was raised by others and not just you. We have committed to make a $25,000 contribution, and Lila, you want to speak to that, to the housing counseling services, to try to offset if there are any increases in property taxes to surrounding communities. So I think your point's well made, and I think we have attempted to address that with a contribution to the housing counseling services. So thank you for your point, but we know it's a legitimate concern, and we've tried to address it.
And other developers in the area have made the same proffer. So over time, there will be a bank of money to address that specific need.
And I appreciate your answer, but my point is, over time, when this assessment of these communities get to that $700,000-800,000, their seniors who live here, who've lived here 50, 60 years, will have to adjust their income or try to adjust their income to the new tax base, even with homestead exemption. Once your assessment of your property get to that 700,000 to 800,000, that's what your taxes are going to reflect. And the home
Mr. Lockett, and that's why we added I'm sorry, but that is why we added the tax relief.
Ms. Lucio, why can't I talk to the developer, the contractor, without you interfering?
Because we already answered this question.
Commissioner
Are you the mediator?
Commissioner Lucio, please.
Forget it. That's it. Forget it. It's almost like you got things to hide.
Stop. Like everyone, seriously, stop. The time is
I don't have
getting,
a question.
Commissioner Lockett, because you have the floor, but hold on. I am overseeing right now. The time is getting late. You have the floor. You're asking relevant questions.
That's it.
Continue to ask your question.
That is it. I've had enough of her.
Are you sure?
I like to make a statement at the end of the meeting, okay?
Okay.
Because I can't tolerate this from her anymore.
Okay, so now the acting chairperson recognizes Commissioner Washington. Commissioner Washington, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. I'm a little concerned about the project. However, I would not support it. My concern goes back to what Commissioner Lockett was saying about the cost of what the houses will be. Because we experienced that with the houses that are currently being put up on 12th Street. When we approved those houses a few years ago, the starting price was at $500,000. And it has now jumped to 800,000. But I just want to clarify too, Mr. Lockett, the reason why, the reason for that is because the gentleman said the project is like 24 to 26 months away. We don't know what the AMI is going to be at that time. Those houses could be at $1 million by then, because we don't know, because it goes up, it doesn't go down, unless we have a crash in the market, which I doubt. But that's my only concern, is that people are being priced out from being able to buy homes in the city, with homes going at those prices. And with the inclusionary, as he said, being limited to only a few homes, that doesn't help residents to be able to stay in the city who want to be able to afford to live in these type of communities throughout Ward 5 or throughout the city. That's my concern.
Yeah. I'm not sure if anyone from Concordia, anyone else, if you want to respond to what Commissioner Washington just stated. I will say that I believe that I will eventually support this project for sure. However, the concerns that are raised by Commissioner Lockett and Commissioner Washington are concerns that are shared by me as well about affordable housing, as well as just making sure that you're informing everyone in the community. I know you all know North Michigan Park and Michigan Park Civic Association very well. And so I would behoove you to make sure that you go before both of those bodies about this in particular as well. So just want to echo the sentiments that were made by fellow commissioners.
Commissioner Fletcher, I do have a question for Commissioner Lucio. Have you presented before Michigan Park Civic Association?
I have shared this project was going forward with the North Michigan Park. I have shared with them that that my meeting was open to them if they wanted to attend the meeting. There's been public notices sent about the meeting. This particular project has not presented directly at North Michigan Park, but I have communicated with Carmen Williams tonight that I'm happy to have them come present at their next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that sounds like that sounds well. I mean, I just want to make sure that everybody is included, just like Commissioner Fletcher said.
Absolutely, Chairman.
So
absolutely. And so yes, and I will say that Carmen Williams has been in attendance at the meetings where this has been presented as well.
She's just one person. I want the whole.
Right. No, I understand that. So right, okay. I understand that she's, but I'm just mentioning she's been there as well as the president of the North Michigan Park.
But they have not taken a vote on it to support it or not to support it.
They have not, but I do want to just clarify that the project abuts there, but the project actually sits in Michigan Park.
Okay. And have they taken a vote?
Michigan Park has not, no. The Michigan Park has not been meeting since the pandemic.
So, and if I understand the timeline, just to add to what I think Commissioner Washington is asking here, you all need a letter of support from ANC 5A, or you desire that before the next zoning commission hearing, correct? And that's within the next month?
Which is scheduled for October 19th.
It's scheduled for October 19th. So, yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Washington.
I understand you
Holloway. I see Commissioner Holloway. I see your hand as well. I have you next, Commissioner Holloway.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that even though they haven't met, have you reached out to them so that someone, I mean, it's, you said Michigan Park is Michigan Park is a civic association. I think they do need to be involved in the process. And I think you should get a vote from them as well, if they're whether they're supporting it or whether they're not supporting it.
Now, I do agree with Commissioner Washington. I will say, I want to ask Commissioner Lucio, in your SMD meetings, have you taken votes within your single member district meetings regarding this? And if so, what were those votes?
We have, and we voted in favor of both of the projects at our last meeting.
Do you have any numbers?
How many numbers?
I'd have to go back and pull it up. If you give me a minute, I can.
Because what I will say is, I understand the time sensitivity. If you did at least do that, I think that's an important step. And if we make any approval contingent upon this presentation being made before North Michigan Park as well, because I do understand the timeline. So I'm saying that's what I would potentially support personally.
There were 26 participants in favor. All in.
How many in attendance?
26.
Yeah. See, for me, that's not enough for community support, in my opinion.
Commissioner Washington, I don't disagree with you. I mean, we did everything we could. We actually handed out paper notices to all of the residents within 200 feet of the property. The developer did, as well as I did. And we also sent out multiple meeting notices electronically. So we did what we did to get as many residents there as we could. I do understand the request to present this at Michigan Park and North Michigan Park. As I said, Michigan Park has not been meeting regularly. So I don't know what the status of their meetings are at this point. I know that, North Michigan Park has, and so I'm happy to have them present next week at North Michigan Park. But, I would like to say that, we've had, that was the attendance at one meeting, and I'm not going to say that there was the same members at the previous two meetings, because we've had, at previous meetings, we've had, at least another 20 or 30 people also at meetings, and I'm not sure it was always the same people. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it was not. But I do think that the community that was in attendance was in favor of this project.
Okay, so thank you, Commissioner Lucio. Commissioner Holloway, you have the floor, and then we'll have to make a decision one way or the other after that for time purposes. So Commissioner Holloway, you have the floor, and then let's continue moving forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. I had a couple questions in reference to how long has this project been on the books? Number two, my bigger concern is the AMI that we talk about, because once we give a certain fixture of price, like what I would consider asking, seems like it could be a good project, but can we move the number from 70? You said it's going to be 80 and then 71 at market rate. And the market rate is 700,000. I mean, did I hear that correctly?
Can I just want to, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Yeah, can anybody answer that? Yeah,
I want to just, yes, and Commissioner Holloway, I just want to make something very clear. The zoning approval has nothing to do with the price of the units, right? So that is not even a consideration as part of the legal standard of review. The other thing I wanted
but
to, and I say that respectfully, understanding and totally appreciating the concerns that have been raised. I just want to make sure that you understand that whether you approve or not support the application, it has the approval wouldn't lock in a price for the homes. So that I just want to make that clear. The other thing is one way or another, right? The price of the units is not on the table before the BZA.
Right.
The other thing I want to say is that the homes will be constructed, as you pointed out, Commissioner Washington, 2 years from now, right? So there's really, we can't predict what the cost of the units will be 2 years from now or the market conditions. I just want to keep everybody respectfully within the parameters of what's considered by the board.
Right, and I comprehend what you're saying, but I did hear him give the number, the specific number. So I'm just saying, is there a way that there's going to be some type of wiggle room as to that number that we have down? When you say you have 80, and then you said only what 8 or 9 are going to be. I mean, and for a lot of people, that's not even going to be affordable. So I'm just concerned with the AMI, which is going to go up yearly with people's taxes and stuff. And you know, and I still look at, I just want to know how long has this been on the books? And I wanted to make sure that I don't think a single member district meeting of 20-something people is going to be enough for them to have the real support that they need. And I think it could be a great project. Okay, that's just where I am with it.
Well,
thank you.
Right, and just to answer the question of how long this has been on the books, the Kennedy School has been on the property since 1958. And it needs to be torn down and rebuilt. It's in a state that is no longer, it's in a state of disrepair, and the kids need a new facility. So that is what is driving the sale of the property and the redevelopment of the property. That's the funds being from the proceeds from the sale and entitlement of the property will pay for the new school site. So that's how long.
So the project.
Go ahead.
But the actual project has been on board for a couple of years now. I'm not asking how long it's been there. How long the business that you want to do. It's been on for a couple of years now. So
so the project has been contemplated.
Right. So comprehend what I'm saying. I'm saying during that time, there should have been way more people than just a few people that we have saying they have voted on it, or they approved it, or they were in favor of it. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Well,
so
we have
I think that
we've had 3 meetings, and what I will say is that we didn't start with the support of the immediate community. The support of the community evolved over time with changes to the plans, with conditions to the approval, making the green space accessible, publicly accessible, with the conditions and the contributions for the acknowledging, the increase in taxes. So it wasn't like we started with the community support. We started meeting with the community in May and just got their support last week. So
and I will concur with that. My single member district was not in favor of this project initially, and that's why we went back to the drawing board on it several times.
Okay.
Okay, great. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Respectfully, I know, but just because of time, it is 9:06 and we are not done yet. So if we, commissioners, at this time, I will entertain a motion for this project. If no one introduces a motion, then we have to move on.
We already have a motion.
Two separate projects, right? They're not
Yeah,
one for both.
That's what I'm talking. That's what my hand is up for. Clarification, Commissioner Fletcher.
Okay.
If it's 2 different BZAs, can we vote on them separately?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucio. Well, no, because right now a motion is on the floor for both of them at the same time. So we have to kill this motion and then start over again.
And Commissioner Washington, we could in essence vote on them separately, but here is the problem. As I mentioned, our community has 100% always been in favor of the school, without a doubt. And we supported that from the very beginning. The problem is that the townhomes can't move forward, and the school can't move forward until the townhomes are approved. So they are really interconnected.
And we'd ask that you vote on both applications at the same time.
Well, I don't agree.
Well, again,
you're just getting this, and it's been there some while. Again, this is a reflection of Commissioner Lucio giving us things at the last minute where we have questions that we need answers to, and we don't have enough information to make that decision now.
Commissioner Lockett, I, with respect, I feel that's unfair, an unfair statement, because we have been meeting several times, and the last time they met with us, we met with them last week. So we've been meeting multiple times. So there wasn't a time prior to this that I could have brought this to your attention. So I apologize about that, but I believe that's an unfair statement.
Now, with that being said, commissioners, there's a motion on the floor, as you reminded me about, because I forgot because it's getting late. So, because I'm just being transparent, right? So let's see this motion through one way or the other. The question period is over. We're going to call for a vote. All those in favor of approving both BZA applications, a letter of support, say aye.
Aye. So can we do it as a hand vote?
I'm counting. 1, 2. It's 2 right now. Okay. All those opposed say nay.
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 We did not hear from Commissioner Holloway.
Right.
He said nay.
No, he didn't. He's
Commissioner Holloway.
Are you in support or in support of? Yay or nay?
You know, I support it with some extensions right now, because I haven't heard enough, and then
So are you, Commissioner Holloway, are you saying that you want to make a friendly amendment to the motion?
I think we should, because I think it's a whole lot more needs to be said. I think it should have been a special meeting.
What is your friendly amendment? Again, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to be direct now. What is a friendly amendment to the motion, Commissioner Holloway, my colleague? What is that? What is the friendly amendment?
I think we should have a special meeting regarding this. That's what I think.
Okay, so with that,
I don't think it's enough time. Yeah.
So with that being said, the maker of the motion, do you accept that friendly amendment?
Well, can I ask if there's another way to make the amendment to allow for this project to move forward, assuming that contingent on us presenting at the North Michigan Park meeting next week, and assuming they're in support of it?
That would be a start.
So Commissioner Holloway,
So Commissioner Holloway, if I added that as the amendment, would you vote in favor of this project?
I'd probably be more. I would probably be more in favor of that. Yes.
Okay, so
I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough.
I really want to keep us focused here. So Commissioner Holloway, can you restate the friendly amendment for the record? And then Commissioner Lucio, I believe you accept that friendly amendment, then we're going to move forward. Commissioner Holloway, can you restate that friendly amendment, please, for the record?
Would you like me to restate it?
He's on mute.
He's on mute.
Commissioner Holloway?
Okay. I would like to propose to have a special meeting, and I would like for you guys to meet with North Michigan Park as a group, as a whole group, and then move forward. That's my friendly amendment.
I'd like to add an amendment.
You got to take one at a time.
Gotcha.
Well, actually, Commissioner Washington,
I can't, because I've already said that.
Right.
I've said nay.
Exactly. So with that being said, Commissioner Lucio, do you accept that friendly amendment?
I do, just be conscientious of the fact that their hearing is on the 19th, but yes, I do.
So
Commissioner Edwards is back.
Commissioner Edwards, can I see this through, Commissioner Edwards, rather than trying to catch you up to where we are?
I'm mute.
I take that as a yes. So, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're good.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. So Commissioner Lucio, the friendly amendment is that there be a presentation before the North Michigan Park Civic Association, and in addition, a special meeting with ANC 5A for both of these BZA applications. That's a friendly amendment that you accept, correct?
It is, and I will also do my part to see if I can find out if Michigan Park Citizens Association is willing to hold their meeting.
Wonderful. There's been a friendly amendment, commissioners. Do I have a second for the friendly amendment?
I'll second it.
Okay, Diego has seconded the friendly amendment. There's no need for questions. We're going to call for the vote. All those in favor of the friendly amendment, as I just restated it, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
2 nays.
I'm sorry, because I'm a little confused at the moment. So we're not necessarily voting to support the project yet, are we? Because
We're voting to support it with contingents.
But then if they're presenting at a special meeting for us again.
So that means that we have to get this all done within a short period of time. That's what this means.
But okay,
then why are we voting? Then why are we voting?
Then we don't need to vote because we're
That's
not
right.
voting.
Why are we
for the
voting?
project.
We're voting because a motion has been on the floor.
Then we need to. Then the
we
motion
need to kill the motion. The motion doesn't pass if you're adding all that.
So let me ask you a question, because I was kind of listening to some part of the discussion, but what I thought I heard, and Commissioner Holloway kind of mixed things up a little bit in his explanation, but what I thought I heard was ANC 5A, based on those discussions, wouldn't be making a decision on this project until the special meeting.
That's my understanding.
That's what I was trying to say.
That's my understanding.
So
there's no need for
prior to
a
the
vote
special
now.
meeting, prior to the special meeting, Commissioner Lucio is going to work with North Michigan Park Civic Association, and North and Michigan Park Civic Association, they're not meeting, just to make sure that this information has been discussed with both of them and that we have input from them. So for the special meeting, we will then be able to vote on this. And it looks like the special meeting would need to occur the second Wednesday of this month, which would be the 12th.
Of October.
That's fine.
Okay. Chairman,
Okay.
no problem.
So, may I say something? Thank you, Mr. Chair. And that's all we were trying to get across. I didn't think it was enough time. We're talking about two different things here, and that's where I was. That's all.
That's what I was trying to say.
Let me just ask Commissioner Washington, what additional questions would it be helpful for us to prepare to have answers to for the next time you meet? What other information are you looking to have prior to the next meeting?
I'm looking for more than 26 individuals supporting the project.
That's fine.
That's a huge project to have 26 people to, agree on. Because you have a large area and there's a lot of homes there.
Correct. Okay.
So and I think, and I just think on that, the number, and it would be nice to have a high number, but Commissioner Lucio, if you do the things that you said that you did, and I think probably it would help you to make the meeting also a virtual meeting.
It was a virtual meeting.
Okay, so and if you do those things, then I think the number of people who come after the notice comes out and all of that, I mean, it's concerning to us, but if they've had an opportunity, they've had notice, we have to go with the people and then that show up and who participate. I don't think we can just set a number arbitrarily and say, hey, I think it should be at least 50 people there or something like that. We have to follow the process, provide the notice. Those who come and those who participate, they get to have part in the final decision.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. I would agree. And I will just reiterate that we did multiple outreaches to people in the community, and even took it a step further than we normally do by, passing out paper flyers to all the people who live within, 200 feet of the project.
So are we just doing the folks that are within 200 feet, or are we doing the entire community?
No, I mean, we did paper flyers to all the people within 200 feet, but we did electronic notices through the ANC email list and through my single member district email list, which has over 100 people on it.
Commissioner Lucio.
Yes, sir.
President Williams for North Page Park, was she invited to your meeting?
Yes.
Well, answer my question. I'm the ANC commissioner. Why wasn't I invited?
The ANC commissioner.
Maybe this problem we have in there with these questions I'm asking could have been done some time ago. Then we could make
Mr. Lockett, the notice was sent out on the ANC email list, and so you're on that, so you would have gotten the notice as well.
All right, and I think that Commissioner Lockett, your point has been well taken. The support from Commissioner Washington and Commissioner Fletcher has sort of helped to sort of spearhead that. The meeting has been, the vote has been put off for tonight. We're going to have a special meeting, and Commissioner Lucio is going to take the due diligence to make sure that you and other residents in the community are involved in the special meeting, in the SMD meeting that she's going to have, so that by the time we come back together on October 12th, your questions should hopefully by then all have been answered. Commissioner Fletcher, keep it moving.
Oh, well, okay, I thought you were back, so I mean.
No, I'm just speaking. You continue.
Okay, Chairman. All right, sounds good. No problem. So we're gonna finish up commission business. We're gonna go to.
We're done here?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lila.
Thank
Lila,
you.
I'll be in touch.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Commissioner
Good night.
Fletcher.
Yes, Commissioner Washington.
Can we go back now to the school zone parking and see if Ms. Haley Peckett is available? I think she was on. I'm not sure if yes, she's there.
Okay, sure. Yes, not a problem. So just so we can take a heat check right now, we're at reports and we're going back down to reports and presentations. Under reports and presentations, this is the last presentation? Commissioner Lucio, under reports and presentations?
No, there's one more, but I don't know if she's on. It's the last one is Chris Thompson.
Yes. Is Ms. Thompson still on? Ms. Thompson? Okay, I just wanted to get a check as to see where we are right now. Okay, so yes, Ms. Peckett, you have the floor, ma'am.
Great. So hi, I'm Haley Peckett. I'm sorry, my voice is kind of going. I'm happy to share a formal presentation on the school parking zone program, but given that I presented something very similar about a few weeks ago, do you have specific questions or things you're interested in from me given this late hour?
We appreciate it.
I think that we were at our last meeting that we had with you. There were some things that I think we asked for. I don't think we've received them yet as it related to the legislation or rulemaking of the school zone parking. I think there was some issues surrounding the number of individuals that attended the meetings as you guys were approving this process. And I know you shared with us the rulemaking and so forth, but I think we were a little concerned, myself and Commissioner Lucio, about how many people participated, how many commissioners actually participated in that process.
So I recall from that meeting, I apologize if I don't have the information in front of me. I have a presentation on the background of the program. I don't have information on the number of commissioners, and I'm sorry I didn't have that written down as an action item. But I did recall that you were working on speaking with the staff at Bridges, and you had asked us to withhold issuing permits until you and the school staff had had an opportunity to meet together and consider if there were other offsite parking options. So we have not issued permits at this time. And I do have in the notes for the school that there's a pursuit of off-street parking options.
Yes, we met with Bridges on September the 13th, and we met with the individuals from Bridges and also George Vargas from UDC. And right now, what we have in place is some parking for Bridges staff. They're going to let 10 individuals park there from now until December 31st. We're going to have a follow-up meeting with an individual on the staff of UDC to see how we can extend the parking starting in January, and it may be for a minimal fee. I spoke with Olivia Smith today, and she has stated that she is not moving forward right now with the school zone parking permits because we are working with her to get parking for the staff. And yes, that's where we are right now.
Okay. I can share with you, if there are no schools with active applications for permits, and you have a great relationship, it sounds like you're working collaboratively with Bridges staff, that's great. That's like an ideal solution from DDOT's perspective. I would very much welcome you to come hand in hand together and say, this is a solution we've come up with, or we're not moving forward at this time. So I'm happy to hear that. I can tell you that we have 80 some odd members of our working group. About 30% of those are from ANCs. If you would like me to share the list of the people that have participated in the ways that we advertise this working group, I can certainly do that. And I apologize that that's not something that I did previously. And I'm also happy to share with you more background on the program in case there's other schools. I know that's something that you had asked in the past. Are there other schools that have applied? So far, they haven't from 5A, but certainly they could in the future. But if there's any other questions I can answer, or concerns I can address, I'm really happy to hear the developments that have happened so far.
Commissioner Lucio.
Thank you. So Ms. Peckett, I don't have any necessary questions in relation to this specific project, but I think we all still have the same concerns we raised at the last meeting about this whole process and involvement of the ANCs. And what I would like to request is that someone from your department attend the all ANC meeting that happens monthly and go through this process.
Sure. I'm not familiar with the all ANC meeting, but that's, I'm sure, something we can do. I will also just say that this is actually my second ANC meeting of the night. Thank you for accommodating me. I have attended several ANC meetings. My colleagues have as well. And we have heard comments like yours about concerns about there being impacts. I have not heard a single comment from an ANC where the permits have already been issued. I'm not saying that there won't be, but I'm just noting that we've issued permits to about 20 schools, and we haven't heard any comments from ANCs or residents that are adjacent to those schools. So I do invite you to keep an open mind if we do get permits on the street, which again, I haven't seen yet, but it seems to be a pretty dispersed impact.
Ms. Peckett, can I ask one question? And I think you said at the last meeting, and I've gotten on one of the meetings with Jason. I think they have another one scheduled for October 17th, some meetings that he has. I hear what you say, that you haven't had any, you've issued some permits and have not had any concerns from any ANCs. But when I looked at the information that was sent to me, the schools don't have to have ANC approval. And I think that's something that should have should have been put in, at least to have ANC input, or for the schools like Bridges did, they came to the ANC to let us know. I think that should be a part of that legislation or that rulemaking when a person is applying to get permits. I think it should come through that ANC for the ANC to present it to the community for community input.
Yeah, thank you. I hear you. And that is one way that schools can apply with their ANC, but it is not a requirement that the ANC gives permission. As I mentioned at our previous meeting, if the ANC has information such as the opportunity for off-site parking, areas that are not appropriate, or other information that we at DDOT might not know, things that might not be correctly reported in their application, that is definitely something that we take into consideration and can use in the calculation of the permits.
Commissioner Lucio, there's someone in the chat, Jamie Ansell, if she's still on, she has a statement. Jamie, are you still on?
Yes, I am still on. I just, so I'm at this meeting partially because of this issue. And there's many schools in my neighborhood, and we do live in a area that is zoned for residential parking. And we were told when the schools were coming in and getting developed, and when there's been further development on some sites, like a DC Bilingual is getting bigger, and Bridges and Bria and all that, part of when we put our support in for those projects was that it was right on Metro, like right at Metro, and the many bus lines that run to Fort Totten there. And we do have parking issues, as Commissioner Washington brought up earlier in the meeting. The unit block of Hamilton right there is already dealing with issues for parking constraints in that area. And I had just never heard of this program where teachers or schools can get parking passes that defy residential parking laws. As a resident, I do have to say I'm opposed to this program, and if I had known about it, I would have submitted comments to that effect. It seems to me to be it's problematic for many reasons. One of which is that, as I said, as when we came in to support the schools to begin with, we were sold on the idea that they would be using public transportation or be using on-site parking. Clearly, that's not the case. And then also, again, there are many organizations, government entities, and otherwise throughout the city who could follow suit on this and start applying for parking passes that usurp the residential rights to parking in these areas that we pay for, right? Like I just re-registered my car and paid my additional increased fee for residential parking that's going up all throughout the city and will continue to go up as parking becomes a premium, right? So I just want to say I have concerns, and I would be interested to know how this has been publicized throughout the city and how the commenting period and legislative rulemaking period process went for this program, because that's my statement and my question.
Thank you for your comment. I certainly understand. I'm a district government employee that does not get any parking benefit. So I've definitely heard from folks saying, like, why teachers and not others? So that's something that came from council. It's based on legislation from 2018. And I think it was really in response to a lot of schools that wanted to modernize. They had growing demands for students, and they were having to choose between parking for their staff and school space for the children. So that's where this came about. The rulemaking process was it's been proposed in three different drafts. I'm not a policy expert, so I know it was advertised in the places that council rulemakings are advertised. I can probably get you more detail that's a little bit better than that, but I do know that we introduced something back like December 2021, and it was just finalized in August. So it's been through a lot of revision. There were some public comments to some degree around the price, but I don't have a lot more detail, but I certainly will report back your feedback to my agency. The legislation does not allow anyone besides school staff, so it's not going to be like extended to health commissioners or somebody else. But I understand your concern and I appreciate you taking the time to comment.
Okay, I see we have two hands raised. Commissioner Lockett, and then Commissioner Lucio.
I'm thinking for schools, and mainly new ones they put in place, the same law I think is for churches should be for the schools. If a church is building a new church, they're supposed to provide adequate parking. If a school is doing the same thing, or remodeling, or doing whatever to it, they should make sure they have adequate parking. Parking is a problem in Washington, D.C., just like the lady just mentioned. It is hard. And when you come into a community and start parking in there, and these criminals see that you park there every day, they are coming into your cars. And then we got the police coming out to take reports for something the school should have took control when they first started the school. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
And Commissioner Lucio?
Thank you. So, Ms. Peckett, I appreciate the fact that there was notice of rulemaking on this, but I don't think adequate effort was made to inform the ANC commissioners since we were going to be directly affected by this, nor were we asked at any point in time where we thought we should be in terms of the process. And I think that's the key piece that's missing for many of us. I do also want to mention, I know we've not gotten to the part of allowing comments from our city council member, our mayor's representative, but our city council members staff, Alicia, is on the call, and I don't know if she wants to weigh in on this or if we want to just let her weigh in on this when we get to her part, but I do think this, I really do think this needs to go back to council, and there needs to be time for input to the ANC commission from the ANC commissioners on this, and because there's still a lot of questions and concerns. And I understand, Ms. Peckett, that you're saying that, you haven't had so much pushback from some of the other ones where it's been approved, but I think there's still a lot of issues we have to work through before we can be in favor of something like this.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Hey, thank you. Yep, Commissioner. Yep, Chairman.
I have a question, because I like I said, I've just been hearing part of this, but one thing I thought I heard that's kind of confusing me, and Commissioner Washington, you can correct me if I'm wrong. When we first started this discussion with DDOT, we were told that this was the first application, I thought, that they had for zone parking. And so now I'm hearing that there's been 15 permits approved. Is that what I'm hearing? Am I wrong?
I was saying for the number of schools that were approved in the district. I have a list of those schools. I don't think there's any others in 5A that have been approved. I'm just looking at the list really quick. So I'm just saying citywide.
That's what he's saying. You're saying you have 15 that have been approved.
Yeah. And then they tell us none have been approved?
I don't think there was any approved at the time we had our meeting.
Yeah.
There's now been 14 schools that have been issued permits.
So that's over the last month?
We have worked with each of their ANCs. So their ANCs have gone through notice.
Wait a minute. When we started this, you said there were 20 permits issued. Are there 14 or 20?
I have 14 there. The reason you might be getting different numbers, the report from this morning is that there are 20 schools that have actually printed out permits and are using them. It's possible that there's more that have been approved or that have submitted completed applications, but they might not have actually gone in and purchased their permits yet.
So there's 20 that have been issued permits.
Yeah, 20 schools.
There might have been 20 schools that have completed applications. There's only 14 schools that have actually purchased permits or have been have approved permits, and they've actually printed them out and started using them.
The permits cost money?
Yeah, they have to pay $50 fee for them.
So it's all about the money. It ain't about the pocket.
Yeah, Commissioner, I see Ms. Uchenna Evans had placed a question in the chat.
Oh, she did? Mm-hmm.
Yes. As Bridges withdrawn its application, so there's no longer an active application the commission needs to discuss. I can't speak to that.
They have not withdrawn their application, but I was told today by Ms. Smith that she is no longer pursuing the application because we are working with her to secure parking at UDC for her staff members. we're working with her. I am working with her. The commission is working with her. And I understand from the last meeting that I was on with Jason that her application was put on hold. Can you comment
I
on
can
that?
confirm that I have no other information or developments on this application since it's either August 28th or September 3rd, but there hasn't been any motion. We haven't been moving it in absence of the school asking us to do so.
Correct.
Okay. If there are no further, any further comments? Yes.
Now, we will not pursue it. You know, if Bridges comes to us and says, please give us, please activate this permits, then we will let you know. We will contact you and say, we now have a completed application from Bridges. Our initial permit calculation is this number. Here's where we would propose that the permits be issued. Please provide us your feedback. So until that happens, we will contact you when we have that, if we ever get it. If not, then it just sits there.
So I'm sorry, can I ask a question, Chairman Fletcher, Mr. Fletcher? So Ms. Peckett, just so I'm clear, at the moment, there is nothing more in terms of action you need from ANC 5A, but I want to also make it clear that we are very forcefully requesting that there be some more discussion on this within the city council, and that ANC commissioners be involved in that communication.
I've noted that. You know, I think that that's a council question because I can't undo the rulemaking at this point, but I've noted that. I'm happy to bring that back to my leadership, and I encourage you to do the same with your council member.
Yeah,
I think we should do that, Commissioner Lucio.
Yep, I would agree. And Ms. Peckett, if you'd like to reach out to me in terms of the all ANC meeting, but I think it would be helpful to have you at the next all ANC meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to put you in contact with the person who organizes that.
Great.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Ms. Peckett. We really appreciate your time, and I look forward to having you back. We're going to move on with the rest of the agenda. The time is 9:40. Okay. So I just want to make that clear. Let's go to the Public Safety Task Force updates. I'm going to be very brief with that. I'm just waiting for Commissioner Lucio. I know you've been doing a lot. If you could please just put that up on the screen.
Put what up on the screen?
I sent you an email with the recap and the minutes.
Oh, I hadn't checked my email since earlier today. Can I just give you screen sharing? It's much easier if I give you screen sharing.
All right, give me a second, then sure. Let me pull it up myself.
I apologize. I was not aware that you were going to have me share that.
Give me a second, everyone. Hopefully I can get. Okay. Okay, great. 1 second, everyone. My apologies. Okay. Share. Okay. Can everyone see this screen now?
Yes, yep.
Okay, this is a little more than I wanted to share. But...
Yeah, that's can't see it. There you go.
Okay. So, and we will send this out via minutes as well. But ANC 5A Public Safety Task Force, we met on Wednesday, September 14th. The main purpose for this meeting was to select the equipment, the items to be purchased for the Public Safety Task Force. We also discussed at this meeting the fact that we need to define the scope of what public safety means, as well as what the mission and the vision of the Public Safety Task Force will be. We also decided that, while we understand that the scope of the Public Safety Task Force could be very broad and wide, in the beginning, we want to make sure we're narrow in defining the areas of interest where the Public Safety Task Force can have the most meaningful impact. And so the task force agreed that any area that we deem to be outside of what the task force can handle will be sent to the ANC Committee of the Whole for further discussions. We had about 22 people in attendance, 22 people in attendance, and 20 folks voted on each of the items that are listed here. Only 2 residents opposed any items. And so the items that we agreed to at this time, and the quantities, that's something that is still up for discussion, but the items will be high visibility reflective vest, an LED flashlight, a whistle, the batteries for the flashlight, a glow-in-the-dark hat, flyers for Public Safety Task Force meetings. So these will be the various items that will be purchased. Now, the quantities and where we purchase the items from, that's still left to be determined. Commissioner Washington, I want to, lean on you, worked with you and others, but you as our treasurer, to maybe try to identify some DC small businesses, local businesses that we could potentially make the purchases from, make sure it's local. But I also want to make sure if there's anyone else within the community that has a low DC small business, minority business, women business that they believe we should potentially consider, please let us know. But because this is the first time we're doing this and there's money involved, I want to take this very, very carefully as we go from one step to the other. So tonight, all I would ask the commission to do is just to approve the items listed here. Thereafter, between now and the October meeting, I will have a budget. I will have the business identified, and hopefully at the October meeting, we can vote on the budget and then go forward with purchasing the items. So, and then one other thing I just want to I want to thank a lot of the folks that came out, especially Jamie from Commissioner Washington's single member district, for being a wealth of knowledge and help. Some of the topics that were discussed were, loitering. You see them here. I'm not going to go through each one, but we talked about a wide range of topics. I want to thank Commissioner Lockett, Commissioner Rojas for being there in person as well. I appreciated that. The next steps for us is that we have to define our mission statement, our vision statement, define what public safety means for us, identify the DC small business that we're going to utilize, and we're going to have a meeting at the end of, before the next ANC meeting of the whole. That is the overall presentation. I want to be very quick with it, as quick as possible. I'm open to questions, but again, I want to be very clear. I'm hoping to have passed tonight the items for the Public Safety Task Force. Questions? Yes. I see Commissioner Lucio. I see Commissioner Washington. I'm sorry, let me stop sharing my screen so I can see everybody. And I see Commissioner Lockett. Commissioner Lucio.
Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. So I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you mentioned this briefly, but one of the things we did, talk at length about it the last time was making sure that there was representation from each of our single member districts. So I wanted to make sure that that was confirmed, that there were representatives from each of our single member districts who you have now included as part of your committee.
Yes, yes, that is the case. And I have the names. I just did not place them here.
This
Fine, I
evening.
don't need you to put
Yeah,
the names.
Your commission was represented. Commissioner Washington's commission was represented. Commissioner Lockett's commission was represented as well, and Commissioner Diego was there for his commission. Somebody from Commissioner Edwards' commission was there too, and I believe Commissioner Holloway. So every commission had at least one representative there that evening.
Okay, that was my first question. My second question.
I had two.
Okay, my second question is that you're asking us to vote on the items that you want to purchase, but yet you've said you're going to present us the budget at the next meeting. That seems backwards to me. I mean, I would rather see the whole budget first before we approve these items, because I don't know why we would approve items if we're not going to purchase them until we see the budget anyway.
The only reason why is because I want to make sure that I at least showed the commission as a whole the items that we are looking for. I'll be honest, there hasn't been enough time to identify DC small businesses, and the budget that I had used before was for Amazon. And so after the conversation we had at our last ANC meeting, I want to make sure that we provide a budget that's based upon a DC small business. That's the situation. So if we want to wait altogether until October, that is fine. And between now and then, I will identify a DC small business to utilize for the budget, but that is the only reason why. I didn't want to present Amazon numbers or big retailer numbers again. That's it.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. I think my last comment is that I would really like to see the whole package. I'd like to see the mission, the vision, the scope of what's going to be done with it, and the budget as well as presented as a whole package. To be honest, I was hoping we would have had that tonight after your meeting, but
no,
that is something I would like to have the whole thing of.
Yeah.
So
Nope. And again, I want to present that, but there was not enough time. There just was not. So Commissioner Washington.
I'm echoing what Commissioner Lucio said about, because I thought that's what we had discussed at our last meeting, that it was going to be the mission, everything that she stated. It's getting late now. And also, I'm not the one to be looking for vendors. That takes time, and that's time consuming, and I think that's something that the safety committee needs to do. Designate someone on that committee to look into that.
No problem. I appreciate those comments, and this is a lot of work. So, and the meeting itself went very long. I showed you a list of discussion items that were discussed and talked about. So again, we have to respect everyone's volunteer time as well. So I will do that. And I'll do that, and I'll make sure that by next meeting I have the overall budget. Commissioner Lockett, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. Fletcher, I admire you for taking this on. It's not easy, okay? But I have a little difference of opinion and concerns, is that you have each one of these items is 50, and these items are going to residents. And I'm trying to figure out, are these residents going to use this as they walk to the store, they take the trash out, or what? I'm a little confused here, but at the same time, that money for that particular project starting off may be $2,000. So if you get another 200-300 residents wanting the same thing, I'm pretty sure Ms. Washington say you breaking the bank.
I don't think that.
Who's paying for this? This coming out the ANC?
But I'm not, is it an understanding, and I'm not meaning to jump in, that these items are going to individuals? I thought these items were for the office and be given to individuals when they need to use them. Nobody's getting them for themselves.
That's correct, Commissioner Washington.
I just want to make sure.
And again, this is like everything, I'm here for it. This is a lot of work to do it properly. Government funds. So the actual usage of the items, that is step 2, right? Right now, we're at step 1, and you've all identified the missing areas of step 1, right? So before we even decide to give one piece of equipment or item to a resident, we'll have rules in place for that. So,
Well,
yeah.
What I'm going to suggest is that we may go to the piggy bank of the government as well as part of the police department. And instead of going this way, let them put up some cameras and let the police department monitor them just like they do rings at people's homes. That means that we don't have to put that money out, and they have the money, the big budget's bigger than ours, and they also can monitor this type of situation in the neighborhood. Same way we mentioned right here at the intersection right here. A good camera will take care of the problem. They put them in the communities where crime is high. That's all.
Yeah, no, Commissioner Lockett, I hear what you're saying, and I think both can occur. I think right now we're just trying to find a way to utilize some of our ANC funds for a community purpose, right?
And that should be.
Public purpose.
Should be.
That's what this is for.
Vice Chair, I'm sorry, Vice Chair, I had my hand up for a while, but I just wanted to say something to what you guys were speaking on, if I may.
Sure, Commissioner Holloway and then Commissioner Rojas.
Okay. We're gonna be doing probably, I think I got the date set, October 16th, 17th, the single member district meeting. But I wanted to share this with the commission. I was just gonna send an email to everybody telling you about this, what happened today. We had a gentleman that stole out of a lady's car that was parked in her yard. So fortunately, we had him on camera. I've put in, I had with the U.S. House of Representatives and with my business on the Hill, I've had contacts with Ring, which do a great job. They cost like $30 a year, and it's even cheaper now. So that was one of the things that made me feel so good that resident, I went to her and said, get this Ring camera, and the other one's next door. So long story short, we need to hold the 4th district. I put together a task force before, years ago, and it's not an easy thing, okay? So, and I admire you for going out, but the more, the merrier. There were a couple of people from my single member district that was there, and I plan on being at your next one. But let's get the entire commission together. I would go to the U.S. House of Representatives and get you some loot. You understand? So we can get it done, but we need to make people that's wearing, I hate to say it this way, but it's true, because this officer came out today and he told them, they all were out there. It was like several of my residents out there saying, we got the guy right now on camera. Can you get here? Because he's still in the vicinity. And they refused to come. Now, I want to tell that story, but I'll send out the email when I have it already. But it's just unfortunate. We have to take things in our own hands a lot of times. I've urged my residents, I got the gun permit program. I'm not promoting violence, but you need to protect your own. And those cameras are a big step. I think you can make, because if you do a group rate, I'll wrap it up with this. If you do a group rate, you get so many, then there are programs that would actually fund that for you. So just keep that in mind, because that's what I'm doing here.
Okay.
We're doing that.
No, I appreciate
Great work, man. I support you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Holloway. Commissioner Rojas, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it short. I think at the last meeting, it was a great first step just to have the items listed of what everybody on the task force wanted and voted for, and great representation from all SMDs in the commission. And I just want to reiterate, Commissioner Fletcher, that I can assist you in helping find local vendors and doing that research. So I'm here to help on that end, and I think the meeting was a great first step. And I'll take that load off of Commissioner Washington's back. So
thank you. And Commissioner Washington, I wasn't trying to put it on you. I was just going to talk with you about it, because you've always been there. So I thank you, Commissioner Rojas. All right, so that's all I have for the Public Safety Task Force. The time is now 9:56. I'm going to move to I think community updates. I believe
No, Commissioner Fletcher, I'm sorry. We have not heard from the council member's office, and she's been waiting quite a long time.
That's community updates, Commissioner Lucio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the community updates at the end. I'm sorry.
No, it's community updates.
Community comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No problem. Again, the hour is late.
Yeah, sorry.
So I believe we have Ms. DeFazio from Councilmember McDuffie's office that has been so patient throughout this entire meeting. Thank you so much, and you have the floor. We really appreciate your patience this evening.
Awesome. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and to present. I also want to say welcome back from recess and summer. This is, I guess, my first full ANC, but I've attended a civic association meeting, just Edgewood, just the last evening. So not wanting to delve into the fray, but wanting to just provide a bit of information. I was here, of course, for the duration of the meeting. And during the conversation around the school and the townhomes, there was a question raised about affordability and taxes. So I just want to just inject a bit of information and we can move on to the next point. So I believe the Commissioner Lockett, if I'm not mistaken, had mentioned that, of course, when housing prices rise, so does the price, the appraised value then of the home that's adjacent to that new property. And in turn, the district then would render a new assessment based on that increased value, which is true. He also mentioned that there were certain supports for seniors, but I guess wanted, I'm believing, additional information. So yes, there is the homestead deduction. Yes, there then is also a cap on the amount of taxes that can be assessed annually onto seniors. Right now, that cap is 5%, such that once you have the new assessed value, you then have your homestead deducted from that, then the balance then cannot be raised by more than 5% annually. But just with this new budget, meaning that's effective come October 1st, that cap now is reduced to 2%, such that your annual assessment cannot be raised more than 2% after the homestead deduction is taken. So I just wanted to put that into the conversation for consideration as you all consider, what happens to seniors with respect to home prices and values moving forward. Just wanting to make sure that the commission knew about that new change to the law to provide greater relief for seniors moving forward. So I just wanted to state that without getting into the fray, if you will. Sandy, you had your hand up. Did you need to speak to that, or can I move on to the next item?
I'm just wondering, is that the same as once a senior reaches 65 years old, their taxes are in half?
Yes.
So
yes,
that's
that also
different.
applies.
That's in addition. That's in addition.
That also applies, correct.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure. I just trying to make sure that the 2% wasn't for the senior discount that we get once you turn 65. So that's three different things.
That is correct. Three different things.
Just want to make sure that was clarity. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
One question.
Okay, we got Commissioner Lockett, and we got Commissioner Holloway.
Okay.
Now, I was told this about 2 weeks ago that you can claim twice for a homestead exemption. Now you're telling me it's 3. When I called down about 2 or 3 years ago and asked about that, they told me you can only claim 1.
Well, no, there is only one home. Oh, you're saying one of the benefits and not all of the benefits?
What are the benefits that come with homestead exemption?
That's not true, sir.
That's not true. You can do both. I mean, it's on your form when you get it. You can do homestead exemption and senior tax reduction.
That is correct.
So I'm missing out on a whole lot of money.
It's on there. They automatically send it to you.
So I can call there tomorrow and go down there or talk to them and say, here, you're ready to tell you my age. I ain't gonna do that.
No worries. I am going to put in the chat for everyone, and not just for you, Mr. Lockett, the name or the email address for the person at OCFO. OCFO. It's late.
It's late.
Justice Commissioner Fletcher. Commissioner Fletcher mentioned that his wife is in her 3rd trimester of pregnancy. So am I.
Oh, wow.
I've been here with you all since.
Bless you.
Yeah. Okay, so Elena Folks, and I'll put her email address in here. She serves as the taxpayer advocate. And so usually when I get concerns from residents about taxes and the like, I usually send it to Elena, and I may copy some of the other persons in the general counsel's office, but she usually receives this, triages it, and sends it to the pertinent people within the OCFO's office. So In the chat now, you'll have Elena's email address, so you can clarify that with her, but I believe you can layer it on, so, as long as you're eligible for them. So that's the answer.
Okay, thank you very much. I
You're more
appreciate
than
it.
welcome.
Okay, and Commissioner Holloway, you have the floor.
Okay, I was interested in, I'm sorry. Let me get on first. Hold on. Okay, I was interested in, as well as about the homestead exemption and how it works now. But I also, if you're putting it in the chat, that's fine.
Okay.
But I would like to have it sent to my email directly so that I can personally take it around to my seniors and make sure that they know that this is what's going on. Because it wasn't, and this is the reason why I asked for a pause on that voting that we was doing earlier, because these things are not being talked about and they weren't being put to the forefront. So that's what I need to hear, like I'm hearing right now, about people's options and what is actually on the table. So, that pretty much answers my question, but I'm D Holloway 217. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Please.
The other piece, I did listen to the conversation that was had on the school piece and the opportunity that schools had to give out parking, I guess, permits, for lack of a better term, for teachers. And I, and during the chat, during you all's discussion, reached out to the DDOT representative to actually get the name of the bill, the legislation that she cited was implemented in 2018. I know that you all would like the council member to be aware of it and to weigh in. While I didn't do a formal introduction, committee director. So I'm committee director for the Committee on Business and Economic Development. I deal with legislation, but solely right now it pertains to the committee. So not education, not public safety, not human services. I can share this with our legislative director who handles those other agencies, or committees, I should say. For her to weigh in and or reach out to the council member to discuss, such that he can have a position and answer and knowing what the concern is. So I can definitely do that. I took notes to do so.
Yeah, and the thing of it is, they've already voted on it. I mean, so that means he's voted too.
Not to say, but I know and I heard that you all wanted to engage the council member about this.
Yes.
So I will share with him.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you, Ms.
Thank you
President.
very much. Yes,
Yep.
thank you very much for that.
Sure. The other piece that I'll briefly state is just as an announcement, is that sometime this fall, and so we'll certainly communicate the date and time once it's finalized. The council office will be scheduling and co-sponsoring a job fair with a nonprofit organization called Jobs Not Guns, an opportunity for several members of the community, whether you work in construction, retail, and other trades, in industries, so not just focus on trades, to participate. So again, a job fair with a nonprofit called Jobs Not Guns to occur in the fall. And once the date and time is solidified, either Kelly, Silas, I'm sure you know both of them, will reach out and put a blast out to all ANCs and civics to let you all know when that will be. I know that we're short on time and you let me know how you'd like for me to proceed. I had planned to discuss with you today the legislative session that happened this past Tuesday and share certain measures that the council member had put forward that were enacted and voted upon, in addition to share with you word of a public hearing that the committee is holding on next Wednesday, the 5th at 1 p.m. on 5 different measures. So if you're interested in learning about both of those, let me know before I continue.
What I would say, in the interest of time, is this something that you could send to us via email, any written communication? And also I want to make sure there's more people here to disseminate this information too.
Sure. So Commissioner Fletcher, I will say that Commissioner Lucio actually has the hearing notice for the hearing that's to take place next Wednesday, being that one of the measures impacts her SMD. It pertains to Mundo Verde Bilingual Public Charter School that's receiving, or asking for, I should say, a revenue bond to finance their expansion on 2 separate campuses. So if you don't mind, I don't know when to put you out there, Commissioner Lucio, if you'd be willing to share that hearing advertisement with the full commission. That'd be great. With respect to what we had done last week, I can share with you the council members' notice commission, right? I can send it to the commission via email or both, however you want to handle that.
Yeah, and Alicia, I'm happy to do that. Let me just, in a nutshell, share that Mundo Verde, which is the school that's in my single member district behind Providence Hospital, has been for a while looking to purchase another building, and we were able to coordinate with Providence Hospital. They have a building at the former dialysis center that's right on the corner by their school that they were willing to sell to Mundo Verde to help expand the school to allow the children to stay in the same area. The alternative was for them to bus the children to a different area or to build onto that school, which they really did not have a lot of room to build. So we were relatively happy with them being able to do that and keep all the kids in the same area. But yes, the bond hearing is related to that. And I will share that information.
So if you want, one of the commissioners, if you just tell me the email address for the commission and I can send both notices.
If you want to just send it to me, Alicia, I can forward it if that's easiest for you.
Okie dokie. And those are the updates that I had. I thank you for the time. I thank you for allowing me to speak. And I wish you all a pleasant evening and a great day on tomorrow.
Thank you. I thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Commissioner Fletcher, before she leaves. Yeah. North Michigan Park has been sort of fighting liquor stores for years. And 2 years ago, we successfully fought off a liquor store, and Councilmember McDuffie promised us at that time that if we were successful in fighting off the last liquor store, that he would introduce a moratorium on the council for North Michigan Park, considering our area and our neighborhood. Time is running out. This council term is about to run out, and just wanted to remind him, I don't know if he has enough time to do it now, but if you could check with him and find out if that is something that he can still do, we would appreciate it.
So to be clear, be introducing legislation to enact or effectuate a moratorium on the siting or licensing of new liquor stores in North Michigan Park?
That's right.
Okay, certainly.
Commissioner Edwards, thank you very much.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much, Alicia. We really appreciate it. And I hope you continue to have a successful pregnancy.
We went to the 28-week checkup today. All is well. He's doing brilliantly. I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's what we want to hear.
Great.
So with that being said, I don't think do we have somebody from the mayor's office or MPD with us at this time?
If they were, they're gone.
Right.
So Nokomis was on, but can we take, Nokomis was on, but I would like to take, while Ms. DeFazio is still on, actually, if we can talk about MPD for a second. Chairman Edwards and I talked about this over the summer, and I believe I talked to Commissioner Washington about this as well. MPD has made it very clear that they are no longer attending ANC meetings.
That's right.
And that is, I am very disturbed by that. Chairman Edwards was disturbed by that. Commissioner Washington was disturbed by that.
Yes, I am.
They said they will only attend if requested and if there is a specific incident within that area that needs to be addressed.
And they should have been here. Yeah, and they should have been here tonight because I had 3-4 robberies within the last 2 weeks that they resolved and finally arrested the guy who was a 16-year-old student that robbed 4 people.
Well, I don't want to see. I don't want to.
Please, let's sit in, please. I was trying to get in. Listen, that is not so. That is not so. But if that's, wait a minute, I'm not disputing what Commissioner Washington or Commissioner Lucio said, but I'm telling you, and I will make an example. You can join me on what, 16th, 17th, I think I'm doing. Oh, they're gonna be here, and that incident I told you guys about earlier, they're gonna address that. They're gonna come out on the scene and address that. But this is what I was telling Commissioner Fletcher earlier, is that it's good us going and get the orange hats back, do what we need
Not
to
orange
do.
hats. This is
That's
not
what-
orange hats.
But at the same time, we need to hold the people accountable that's in the positions that they have. So I've never heard of that. That makes no sense.
But it's in
Commissioner
writing.
Lucille,
It's in writing. It's in writing.
I have never heard of that. Like, it's in writing, Commissioner
Yes,
Washington.
it's
you
in
said
writing.
It's in writing. Yes.
And
do
they
not
also said that their alternative is just for the citizens to attend the sector meeting.
sector meetings. That's what they do. They do sector meetings
Right.
once a month. You get on the
Oh,
call.
the fourth sector. Oh, that's what they do. Oh, wow.
Yes, they
That-
do not come out to ANC meetings as a PSA anymore.
Well, let me take 30 seconds to say this. I did talk with them over a year or so ago, and they were telling me that there were so many things that had been passed through the legislation with the mayor that said they couldn't do certain things. So this is just something else to move forward with. This is what's going on now. And this is why I say you need to arm yourself with a camera, and you need to arm yourself, period. And I've sent several of my seniors to the class, and I'm going to continue to do it because we're going to protect what we own up here in 5806.
And Commissioner, I think that's
Commissioner,
right.
The time is 10:13. We're
I
almost
understand that.
4 hours now.
I understand that.
We have families. We have to get up in the morning. There's a lot going on. So
I don't.
Let
me just say one thing.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Hey, look.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Let me just respond real quick. And I understand, and we are going to do everything we can to protect our community, but that is not the question at hand here. The question at hand is why will MPD not be coming to our ANC meetings? That just seems ludicrous to me. And they, part of their response is that they don't have the manpower and it takes them away from doing stuff on the streets. Well, you know what? They have an obligation to keep the community informed. And I understand they think they're doing it through the Sector 2 meetings, but this is another opportunity for them to connect with the community. And that's one thing we've been screaming at them about for a long time now, is they're not doing all that they can to connect with the community. So whatever we need to do to get them back to these meetings, we need to do. Thank you. I'll stop there.
Also about, okay, you know what? I'm not going to add to this because we
And
could talk.
wait a minute, before you go further, the minutes didn't get approved. So you guys, are we gonna wait till next month or what?
Yes, we will. We're going to wait till next month to approve both minutes. We're not going to do that now.
Okay.
Yep.
Good night.
These are important conversations that we need to have, not at 10:15 at nighttime.
That's why I said these meetings get too much on the agenda. We have too much to put on. Got to stop that.
All right, but thank you all. We made it. We made it through. Commissioners, we will talk soon. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, everyone.